melt-up continues here on a Friday morning. We're up better part of a full percent right across the board here, both the NASDAQ and the S&P, off to a very strong start for a Friday morning after a big day. Back on Wednesday, bit of chop then throughout the day yesterday. What a pop, though, after the close yesterday on these BROADCOM earnings. AVGO up to $1 trillion market cap, so joining the T club right across the board. Pretty exclusive, that club, at this point. So great report from BROADCOM. We'll touch on that coming up. Not much in the way of economic data so far this morning to pass along. We did get some Canadian wholesale and manufacturing data out there at 8 o'clock. Import-export numbers as well in the U.S. coming in basically in line with expectations. I was just hearing. And that's about it as far as what we have to look forward to on the economic calendar this morning. Lots of things moving around, though. As I mentioned, AVGO, the big one. What a move after the close yesterday. We also have Costco, not necessarily a day trading stock, $1,000 name. Did pop up initially, but the forecast, bit of a problem here, it looks like, for Costco. I mean, it's 0.1%. Let's taper the expectations here on a $1,000 name. We'll take basically a flat start to the day here for Costco.
Yeah, Brendo, lots to talk about today. We're going to keep eye on Costco, eye on BROADCOM. Morgan Stanley also giving Apple the nod, adding it to one of its favorites list. We'll talk about that. Apple coming back close to that $250 area. Tesla also in focus. Looks like they're raising the ire of the Transportation Safety Board in the States, the TSLA, I believe, for the crashes there. So looking at, we'll keep an eye on that. And Elon obviously getting into it on X with Chair Gary Gensler. Uber also on watch today. Brendo getting a bit of a bounce back after a tough day before yesterday, but a good day for you.
Yeah, the Trump transition team with some thoughts on this Tesla note as well. So we'll see how that pans out. But I think they're really just trying to figure out how much oversight they're going to put into the self-driving side of things. So yeah, note on Tesla, whether or not it'll actually affect things or not. What a week. What a month it's been overall here for Tesla. But back above 422 right now, trying to hold. Pops up above that magical 420 mark this morning to start things off as well. Sean with a much-deserved day off today, although he has already made an appearance.
He already was here
in the office this morning. So I don't know.
Should have hung out for the open.
He should have, but he's gone again. So Obi's here this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, everybody. Sean was in and out like a ninja. He had to pick up. There's a raffle for Gia's for his daughter's hockey team, right? So he had to pick that up and give some change. I intend on winning the raffle because I am very fortunate when these charitable raffles and those kind of things. I just tend to have really good luck with them. So nice. Who's hitting fail? Why do you care, Fabian, if I win the raffle? And you know what? As a matter of fact, if I win the raffle and I buy donuts for everybody, Fabian doesn't get any because he hit fail. Everyone else.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
If I were to take a guess at what most of those donuts were, would they be apple fritters?
Well,
Which percent of the total donuts would be?
If I win and get donuts for the office, I'm not going to get a bunch of my favorite. Like I'd get an apple fritter for myself, but I would, get some kind of a mix for everybody. I don't know what everyone's favorite donut is, to be honest with you. But I can tell you right now, it's going to be a fun day. Like there might be not a ton of catalysts, but forget about the fact that it's Friday the 13th. Because after earnings, you got like a really hot stock over here up 14%. So we get a really hot stock. And then on top of that, you've got a very good opportunity with BROADCOM, which has a chance to get to the $1 trillion mark. And if you can't figure out what I just did there, then I know it's early in the morning for all of you. 17% and almost $1 trillion market cap. Now, I think Sharif was doing some math for us, and it needs to break 215. It would have to break 215 by a bit to get to the $1 trillion market cap mark for BROADCOM. But that's certainly in the cards. Today, Tesla is gapping upside. I mean, Uber is on the comeback trail as well. Not all good, as you pointed out to me, Love getting no love today. The Love sack.
A little sacked.
Yeah, the Love sack is sacked. There's probably a lot of puns that you can make for Love sack and its potential continuation after yesterday, but Yeah, it's not doing a lot of volume. That said, there's a lot of good opportunities to watch today. Broadcom's going to be at the top of a bunch of lists, but remember, it brought all the chip names up. So you have a lot of very strong chip names. You've got ARM continuing its breakout. Even AMD's trying to go. TSM's making some moves. They have some news of their own, so there's a lot to watch.
NVIDIA back at 140. Market's pretty strong as well. You can see in kind of the overnight and the morning session. I guess the overnight session right there. We go from 21.7 to 21.840, so almost we'll say about 60 points away from that 21.9 area. But yeah, no, AVGO. These earnings are definitely on watch today. Maybe a day 3 on play. I know Neil pointed this out to me at the end of the day yesterday. He was just like, "Oh, did you take the continuation on play?" And I was like, "I didn't even look at play." This ticker definitely was not playing around here with that selling coming in quite aggressively, opening literally at the high of day and then closing pretty much near the low of day. Interestingly enough, Neil, the bounce, the low is 25 flat, which is interesting as well. So I like 25, again, a little bit of a psychological level as well. AVGO, again, decent earnings right here. We're definitely going to be talking about this one on the pre-market or the rundown a little bit later, but definitely one to keep an eye out for. Doing some significant relative volume, almost 20 times. I was looking at this one on the subway in, and I was just like, oh boy, it's already starting to run around 7 a.m. And I'm like, okay, that's my mistake for maybe not coming in a little bit earlier today to take that breakout of that after hours high. But now we're holding that VWAP right here. Now, of course, you guys already know, you got to hit up that anchored and see that anchored is sitting at 199.12 all the way down here in and around that 200 mark. So I don't know if we're going to get all the way down there, but for certain supports, I like that 204, maybe that 200 level as well. If we can get to that 200, that's the anchored VWAP as well. So yeah, let's see what we have in store for today. Not Robinhood, RH, of course, another one. This one is AVGO is all-time highs. RH is 52-week highs. So you can see here, we haven't seen some of these prices since 2021. So definitely one to keep an eye on there. Now, of course, Tesla is obviously going to be on watch. Oh boy, there's a lot of lines.
So I just saw this in the chat, and I have no idea. There's got to be an AI way to do this, but I might just kick it old school, and I'll do my best. No, I just saw the Anthony, the oh boy count is at 1.
Oh.
So, well, it's now 2 because he said it a second time. So, there's no automated way that I can figure out how to do this. But if I happen to catch it, and I can, I've already got a couple of marks on a piece of paper, and I have a pen right there. So there is going to be an unofficial oh boy count today, but it doesn't matter if I say it, just for the record. It's irrelevant if I say it or if Sheree says it or if Brendan says it.
Maybe we can keep a counter in the bottom of the screen, just be like every time it just ticks up.
But then someone, it's like, who's going to actually do it?
Yeah.
Like, I'll just keep updating you guys with the number. But we're already at 2.
Yeah. We need an oh boy blotter. Oh boy.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah. I won't be that guy. I won't be that guy. Yeah. See, we'll see people in the chat. Maybe they can keep track as well, and then we'll see how that compares to Neil's counter by the end of the day. We'll check back at like 3:55.
Yeah, and then you can guess in the afternoon show where we're at.
Yeah, exactly. Should be good. Good luck, everyone.
Back to the desk.
At the chat in the corner this morning. We were just, Sharif and I were just talking about RH as well. Huge gap, as Obi was mentioning. Great looking chart, nice base. For a long, long time. You got to go all the way back to summer of 22 when it first bottomed out around that 230, 225 area. So, yeah, back to long-term highs here, 13.5%. Nothing like a good $20,000 couch. Have you ever been to? There used to be one.
Been.
I don't even know if it's there anymore, but there used to be one on Yonge Street, like north of Eglinton, in that area. But I don't even know if it's there.
I see them in the States when I visit my sister, but no, not up here. But they're really guiding well, Brendo. The guide is fantastic here. 18 to 20% increase in revenue for the full year 2025. That's what they're comparing, or that's what they're guiding. In terms of demand anticipated to grow as well, 20 to 22%. So you kind of see this higher end segment really not struggling with sales. They're undergoing a turnaround, for a more inspiring, disruptive brand. So looking at introducing new products, and the market's rewarding them right now, at least anyway, up 13.4, not bad.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's not a stock we typically look at as far as a day trade, but good to see. Still some strength in high-end retail. On the other end of the spectrum here, some of the ADRs, Chinese ADRs downside here, 0.5% for Baidu. There was a note on that one. I was just having a look at Baba as well. It popped up on a day low scanner here for me. Not a lot of volume behind these so far yet, but back and forth we go here, guys, for Chinese ADRs today too.
Yeah, the move down it felt like there was maybe a chance you were starting to revert. Baba down another 1 point today specifically. And when I say revert, it's like revert the reversion, which is an OB term.
Oh, yeah.
Because we already reverted back down after the stimulus number. There's some speculation that further stimulus could be incoming. And to its credit, if you have a look at the bottom off the 200 period on Baba, now this didn't make my list of stocks to trade today. It's going to be like Apple, BROADCOM, Palantir, AMD on the list, ARM, like those are the ones that I'm kind of focused on. But you look at this previous high, it's like 87, and we've kind of consolidated above it. So in theory, like you have technically broken trend and are holding the higher low. I like it when you're holding the higher low and breaking back out the top, which doesn't feel like it's going to happen. So if we lose that prior high, which would be around 87, I think this move is kind of unabated to the quarterback, as Shreve likes to say. No, like the play that I would have been looking for would have been a breakout above 90 on strength, and we're just not getting it today. So that might have to wait till next week, unless we're really surprised and we get a big reversal. This needs to take out that 90, and then you can start this reversion trade, which technically speaking, it's begun. We made the bottom at support. You broke the trend. You're consolidating. There's just no break of resistance for this to start going. So this is one that's on watch for me, more so than it is a trade today. But I know at least what I'm looking for on Alibaba. It just has to happen.
Yeah, I think, again, been watching this for the past few weeks. We saw the Hang Seng kind of push up on, past couple of months right there. You can see that the whole stimulus run that we had earlier in, was it mid to late September right here, and then October, you can see we are pretty much, we talked about this, I think it was last month while I was on or something. It was like, yeah, a little bit of a backside move coming in. But interestingly enough, a bit of a double top action right here that we're pulling off of. So prior resistance is what we've been pulling off of on the Hang Seng over the past few days here, just from, what is this, from December 9th so to the 12th. So basically this week we've been pulling off of a prior high here on the Hang Seng. So yeah, I'm sure that tickers within the index and the market there definitely on a little bit more of a backside move. You can see how beautiful right here on Baba. That's crazy. It's just literally I have a support and I have a resistance line from earlier. We go up to the resistance line, we fail there, and we come back right into support right here at 81s. Oh boy, definitely not swinging this one, but we can also take a look at PDD, right? PDD is another strong ticker in that index there, and similar kind of story here, keeping that downtrend kind of I guess in line there across a few of those names there. I don't know if there's any name that's not acting like this. Is there something that's distinctly different in these Chinese ADRs? Let us know in the chat. But a lot of these seem like they've been pulling off decently off of those highs that were made on the I call it the stimmy run. So
stimmy run.
The stimmy run.
That's a fun way of saying it.
Yeah, it was an event. It was
like
event.
it's.
Yeah.
Looking for something that's different, you're going to have a hard time finding it.
Yeah.
I think. Like, they're all more or less the same. I think what I would look for is, like, finding something that's stronger than the others doesn't necessarily exist.
Yeah.
But maybe finding something that is looking a little bit weaker than the others in a certain sense. Like, so remember we were talking about Alibaba just a second ago, where you did the reversion, you bounced off support, but you were kind of making a higher low. That's what Alibaba was doing. NEO is doing the same thing, reverting back to when we had the stimulus bounce, but it's right back at essentially at the support level where it's already bounced, like 4.25. Like if it loses that, it looks like a weaker name there. But obviously, it's just a little bit different. And I see in the chat, New Mexico Misfit saying, have a look at Baidu. Yeah, maybe Baidu could be the one that's a little bit different.
A little more sideways.
Yeah, this looks. I mean, this one looks like Alibaba to me. Like you have the same trend break and the same type of consolidation after you've made the higher low, and you have yet to really break out the top. So yeah, same thing as Alibaba, like sideways for the week, trying to break back out, and oddly enough, it's around the same price as well. Shout out to New Mexico. Before we go, I know Michael's ready, but one of our good friends on the show, Mr. Westermeyer, sent me this, and I can't imagine why someone in the Kansas City area would send this to a Buffalo Bills fan. Like the most viewed team pages, according to Pro Football Focus, which is a football website. I don't know if you knew that.
All right.
And
Nice.
a curious amount of Kansas City Chiefs searches, regardless of where it is. And like this is Canada for anyone that doesn't know. Apparently most of Canada is searching for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I would just posit that that has nothing to do with the fact, look, the Bills are the best team in the NFL, but this is pretty much the Taylor Swift effect. Mr. Westermeyer, it's not your team that is good. I am surprised by this. Like there's a lot of, like everybody in the West Coast, like San Francisco, well, you guys aren't going to the playoffs after last night, that's for sure. But yeah, the Taylor Swift effect. And then I just wanted to point this out. Look at that, Sharif. You actually have more than just the state of Texas that is in love with the Dallas Cowboys. So that's not too bad there, though they're having another disappointing season. This is my issue. People need to get on the Buffalo Bills bandwagon. A Buffalo-Detroit Super Bowl would be the greatest thing ever. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to leave it at that. Back to the desk.
On Spotify, yeah. You just need. I was just saying to Sharif. Hey, Michael Noss, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
I was just saying to Sharif, he needs like someone from the Cowboys to like start dating a supermodel or superstar or something. And then, yeah.
More like more demand for that.
Yeah. All right. I'm actually surprised we're actually going to talk about this today, but why not? It's Friday, Mr. Noss. Michael Noss wants to make his case on why we should be all long Fartcoin. No, this is not a joke.
Oh man, so I made this presentation. I'm almost 40. I've been working in the hedge fund space for many years. I'm a CMT. And yeah, that's what we're talking about today, because that's where the world is. So this presentation might be the top of the entire market. So let's just see if that ends up being the case. So I did this in Comic Sans just to kind of show the ridiculousness of it. But I actually want to give a case about why Fartcoin and some of these meme coins might actually be one of the best market barometers that we have right now. And as insane as that is to say, and hear come out of my mouth, it may actually be true. So let me give a case on that. So this next slide is just kind of showing the effect on the market when it comes to the consumer, right? And how important the consumer is and why we spend so much time with these economic numbers and all this stuff, trying to figure out where the consumer is. The top line, I think, is the most important thing. 70% of US GDP is driven by the consumer. So any dip in vibes, consumer sentiment, how people are feeling about the economy, what's going to happen next, is obviously going to have a massive effect on companies' revenues, profits, stock prices, that kind of thing. This is why we have this consumer sentiment number that comes out periodically. Even things like CPP and PPI and all of these names that I don't follow because they're so late is very, very important, because if the consumer wants to buy things, the 70% number, I cannot stress how important enough this is, because a drop of just 10% of how the consumer is feeling and what they're spending is going to have massive ripple effects throughout the entire market, and that's going to be felt by the US stock market and individual stocks. Now, we do a lot of things to try to predict this again, those economic numbers. The next slide I have here is the very famous CNN Fear and Greed Index, where they try to predict how everyone's feeling. Spoiler alert, for people who don't know, there is no sentiment indicators in the Fear and Greed Index. It's all technical. But there's a lot of indicators out here where people try to say, how do I get my finger on the pulse of kind of the vibe of the consumer, the vibe of the individual investor, the vibe of the everyman, the Joe Blow out there in the market? As technicians, we get a little bit fancy with it in this next chart. This is just a chart of the top chart is the equal weighted consumer discretionary below divided by the equal weighted consumer staples. So essentially, if this line is going up, that means consumer discretionary, people buying things that they don't need, is doing better than people buying things that they do need, right? So think of Tesla versus Procter and Gamble, that type of chart. And you can see at major turning points, I've highlighted some, you sometimes get some early warning where you have the consumer, buying some of these stocks that would reflect a stronger consumer before the market will turn, vice versa. And I just did that on a weekly chart just to show the latest top before a bear market and then the bottom kind of after a bear market. So these are all good and they kind of help, but the last chart, and we're just going to talk over this when it comes to Fartcoin, and I'm just using this one because it's the most hilarious, but all of these meme coins just reached $700 million in market cap. And we know for a fact that this is not Warren Buffett. This is not large institutions are not moving this. It's not big players out there. This is people. It's not even on any of the more acceptable exchanges, right? This is on really crazy ones. So my argument is that instead of trying to really gauge based off all these consumer numbers on how someone is feeling about the future of the economy, whether or not they're going to have a job in the future, whether or not they're going to be able to afford food and diapers for their kids or a house to live or something like that, we could use these coins as a metric to say, okay, if I am someone and I'm worried about my future, I'm going to start selling these things first, right? The first thing that's probably going to go for my portfolio, I would hope, is Fartcoin, and then Apple would probably be the later thing to go. So I think that these are, because they're absolutely insane and pure speculation and have no economic value at all. They're just line go up, so line continue to go up. As long as we are in that cycle, then things could move higher. And the parallel I'm going to draw to the last cycle was NFTs. Remember, people were selling pictures of rocks for $500,000, which, again, it was just insane. When that market cracked, the NFT market just kind of imploded on itself. That was the first. And then all of the dominoes kind of came from there. So it may not give us an insane early warning, but I do think for traders out there, there is value of putting Fartcoin on your screen, and it's going to be part now of my weekly routine. And as long as this continues to make crazy all-time highs like this, I think you have to kind of put that as slightly bullish for the market.
Good point, and well said, definitely. And the reference to NFTs, we all know what happened after that bubble, if you want to call it that. I mean, it pretty much was burst. To equities as well, and the pullback that we saw in the overall equity market. So very well put. Going into the holiday, we touched on over the past couple of weeks the small cap angle. We've seen those kind of slow down over the past couple of days here. We did a whole, I don't know if you recall, but last year this time we did a whole review, if you will, of the Santa Claus rally. I've had a few people reaching out saying, what about the Santa Claus rally for the overall equity market going into the next couple of weeks here? We should touch on that again. But it'd be interesting to see any kind of correlation between, some of these meme coins, if you will, moving and the lack thereof maybe of small caps. We've had, a number of small caps, triple-digit gainers every single day for the past couple of weeks. But it seems like the intensity in that sense has dried up a little.
Yeah, and so when it comes to crypto, I'm interested now, and so I'll dive in, and on Monday I'll do kind of the wrap up of the Santa Claus rally. I think it's getting close enough now that we can talk about that, but probably later on I'll do something about crypto seasonality because there's actually now enough data that my buddy, which I'm actually having a chat with soon, Crypto Burb, I know has been on a few times, Adrian Zidenchek, I'm going to butcher that, and the creator of the Stock Traders Almanac, who's a seasonality focused publication, did a big piece recently on crypto seasonality when it comes to comparing that to the stock market. So we'll take a look at that. But I really think it's one of those things now that, yes, seasonality is important. But I think really what we're still riding on is the back of the election, and we're riding on all of this euphoria where these crypto coins are just going to be showing us that if these continue to move higher and we don't get a collapse, I think that you see this money start to trickle down now to, again, smaller caps, people taking bets when it comes to things like biotechs. I've got a chart that I'll show you guys later of biotechs looking interesting, but we're definitely seeing very pocketed, I guess, potential kind of bubble action going on. Not to say that bubbles are bad; they're good until the moment they're not. But we're starting to see these kind of pockets pop up, and that to me just means it's time to find out where potentially the next one could come from.
Great stuff. As always, we'll look ahead to next Monday and more ideas. Michael Noss, have a great weekend.
Awesome. Talk to you then.
Thank you, Michael. And as always, like remember, everybody, it's follow the wave, ride the wave, understanding. And what I love is Michael throws in there, hey, these things have no economic value, trading vehicles. I had this literal conversation with my barber on Wednesday, and because he was excited, and he was just like, he's tracking the market cap of this altcoin, and it just goes, when I see green, 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 up, 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 and I know, and it can get to here. I'm like, what do you mean it can get to here? And he says to me, oh, that's like this previous market cap. I go, what is that number? That's just the high that it was at before. I go, there's nothing fundamental about some prior high on a fart coin, not a fart coin, but whatever token he was talking about. Nothing fundamental that says it still it's going to get to that price. It's just a number out there. And yeah, you can ride the momentum, but understand, like as quickly as they go up, how many people got caught in the weed stocks? You know, and how many people got caught with worthless NFTs. So just be careful. There is a story here on Affirm. So Sixth Street, I put in the chat, Sixth Street, through its asset-based finance platform, will invest up to $4 billion by purchasing Affirm loans. So Affirm just went green, up 6% here. Hey, look, it's on the bottom of the screen. Well done. It just went up. Now it's actually going higher. It's not a ton of volume, only about $250,000. It's a very large spread, like 50, 60 cent spread on Affirm. Not much of a chase, and certainly I would wait until volume comes in, but this is what Affirm has been doing above $72 for the last 2 weeks. You had a bunch of topping tail candles where it couldn't break away from $72. So a hold over 72, this one could go today.
Nice, yeah.
You got a 74 high on the 52-week high, and you've got resistance at $72 here for Affirm. So if it can hold on to this 72 on the way back in, this becomes a very interesting name. Never made the list. This news just happened. Affirm, of course. Let me just double check to get you guys the short float. It's only a 6.5% short float these days, so it's not quite the squeeze name that it used to be. But obviously running here, and while Michael was talking is when this news story came out. I wouldn't be chasing the top, but it needs to hold 72 after the open, and then it looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I see that. Fabian kind of pointed out. There's a poll. There's a poll in the chat here. So Farcoin, pass, hold, rip, or squeeze. Interesting choice of I guess options, but I don't know. I said Farcoin. Maybe what it's looking like is a pretty big rip to the upside here. But yeah, absolutely crazy.
There it is.
700 million. Market cap. That's kind of interesting. I was telling Neil how, interestingly enough, I got recommended a video on YouTube last night about the 1927 market crash and how that kind of potentially led into the what do you call it? the Great Depression. Now, of course. I know experts may have a lot to say on that, but the thing is, it's interesting the euphoria that we're living in is what I'm trying to say here. So there's definitely something to learn from, and hopefully, you know, I get on the right side of the move here when and if that does come in. That's what we were kind of talking about. But this is absolutely wild times that we live in. I think a lot of opportunities in the markets, and even if you're riding the wave long, yeah, you got to be a little bit nimble when some of that backside comes in, and price action, that backside definitely, eventually.
If we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat. And you said on the right side, for that fart coin, I will pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side.
Oh, boy.
That's a hard pass for me. But maybe some names on the upgrade down list could be not passes today.
Yeah.
A lot of really interesting names here, especially in the upgrade side of things, starting with CRM. Salesforce here with an upgrade from KeyBank Capital Management, a $440 price target, and they're up almost 2% on the day. Then we have Upstart, which is also up on the day here with a Needham upgrade and a $100 price target. BROADCOM, we've talked about pretty extensively with their earnings last night. They do have a B of A securities upgrade this morning and a lot of other positive analyst notes as well. And then AutoZone here with an upgrade from BMO Capital Markets. They actually reported earnings earlier this week, so AZO could be on watch today. On the downgrade side of things, Monday.com getting downgraded by KeyBank Capital Management, B of A Securities downgrading Atmos Energy. Then in the home builder space, we actually have a downgrade here for D.R. Horton from JP Morgan Chase. Last but not least, you're basically flat on the day right now, but Soundless getting downgraded by Guggenheim. Guys, a lot of interesting upgrade names today to watch out for.
That Upstart, up that 6 points, but it's a daily chart that would probably get your attention, or yeah, certainly if it's not getting your attention here, look, this $80 level and everything above it, you can see it's higher lows into a very good looking wedge, but the rejection has been wild above this level into 85. Like yesterday, you were just screaming, again, false breakout. When it loses 85, it really loses it big. I think for something like this, it's like it needs to get through 86. I don't know if you're going to see the other wick there on a 15-minute. Oh, okay, fine. I'll show you the daily. You get the same idea. It wicks 85 and then a hard pullback. I mean, you're closing yesterday down at 70. Not yesterday. Well, it's 77.50. But even by the open, you're already down to 70. It's just like, even this wick here, like you're closing this day down at 77. Like both times it reverted an 85 fail break, it ended up at $77. So I think this needs to get through 86. Like if you're not long on an early push into 85, then this needs to break out the 86 level for it to be a true continuation. So it does deserve watching. This got rinsed at the 80 level yesterday. So when you have a breakdown like this and then you gap above the prior support, then I like that support again. So I think Upstart should be on a watch list today. I would grant that Affirm might take some attention after that latest move that we just saw. So there might be better volume over in Affirm for potential squeeze play. But yeah, Upstart's the one that sticks out on that list, outside of obviously BROADCOM, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, I think my main one is going to be watching BROADCOM as well. I'm sure we're going to be talking about that one as well. But yeah, maybe a little bit more umph with that upgrade coming in on the name. But I don't know if it's going to make it that big of a difference. I think the bigger catalyst relative to the upgrade is their earnings report, and we can see kind of the sentiment that we're seeing on this earnings. Again, AVGO is definitely one of the ones that's pulling up some of these chips, not the rest of them, not all of them, but definitely a lot of chips getting a bit of a pull up off of this. I'm looking at TSM. TSM kind of sold off aggressively yesterday, and now again along with a lot of other chips. But take a look at this. We're trading well above some of that volume from yesterday, held in the pre-market as well. So it could be interesting. So with AVGO moving around, I think that an eye on some of these chips is also worth a look. See now, I kind of point this out as well. People forget that when you look at the breakdown of the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, you can see that AVGO is up there in the top 10. Right here on the S&P 500, you have about a 1.64 current weighting, and if you look at the NASDAQ as well, AVGO is right up there with a 5.13% percent weighting in that portfolio. So again, we're kind of pushing up. We actually pushed up past that Google and Tesla as of last night on the NASDAQ, and then similar thing here. I think last night when I was looking at this, we were still in and around. Okay, has this been updated? Yeah, okay, it's been updated. So we're just shy of some of the Google Class C position there, sitting at 1.81%. So interesting enough, I don't know what that really is going to entail, but some information maybe to consider off of the open there. But yeah, AVGO with a little bit of that upgrade, going to be looking for either continuation or not, right? It can either go one way or the other, or maybe go sideways. Remember, anchored is at that 199. So we'll figure out what that ticker might be trying to do after the open there. Opening range, high and low. It's going to be definitely interesting.
Guys, 60-60 is where we closed out yesterday on the ES December contract. We're still ranging between that 60.50 as support and 6100 as resistance. No difference today, even though the overnight high is 60.85. Keep an eye out on that 60.50 as support, 6100 as resistance.
A lot of the semiconductors going to be helping here with this overall market move. We'll get into why here coming up in a second. If you haven't done so, jump down to the description of this video right now. Top link in the description will get you to the sign-up page for the watch list. Absolutely free every single day. Comes right to your inbox. All you need is an email. Here's why. 18% and counting right now. We're about to take out the highs for BROADCOM. Pretty impressive right across the board. There's a long, long list of analysts jumping on the bandwagon here today as well.
And we are awfully close to that $1 trillion mark right now with the move back up, $997 billion market cap right now, Fabian. So good look right there. EPS, everything really did well here except revenue was a slight miss. EPS beat. Revenue was a slightly below that 14.09 billion expected by the street, but the revenue did grow exponentially, 51% year over year. So did net income, 23% year over year, mostly driven by AI. Their AI revenue specifically surged 220% year over year, basically on AI chip demand and Ethernet networking components. They're looking at a good guide as well, Brendo. Full year 2025 guide. They're guiding about $14.6 billion higher than the street was expecting.
You picked out this one as well. A lot of stocks moving along with BROADCOM this morning. Here's Marvell, MRVL, 8% on the way here. Just about to take out 117.5, guys.
Yeah, it's a good sympathy play, and I think you could really pick your poison with the chips today. And if you're looking at BROADCOM and that all-time high, remember that 1 trillion mark, let's be real, a lot of times that any company has gotten to a 1 trillion or a 2 trillion or a 3 trillion, there's been some resistance at that price. Now that's going to be just above 215, I believe. I'm sure someone can double check that for me, but if we don't, if we reverse from that price, I would expect there'd be some resistance. If you break 16s, then certainly this has more room to go. It's a blue sky setup. That said, I mean, pre-market, you got VWAP at 210, you have pre-market support at 205, always going to show you an anchored at 200. Those become obvious places to take some shots for long continuation. And without that, with BROADCOM, your entry is going to be everything. Like, you can like VWAP, but if you just sit at VWAP and let it run you over at the open, and it goes to a 5 or 02, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So you got to have a very particular entry plan for BROADCOM. That really threw me off. That was a little bit wild. And then for those that were asking about Marvell, that scream is eerie. I know it's Friday the 13th, but that button we don't need, man. Marvell here, this is another strong one. After earnings, it got to a 120 level. So if you're looking for something with like a more traditional structured type trade, like Marvell's got prior highs at 112, which now that we're moving up don't make as much sense. And then you've got this little hump here at about 115 for another dip zone. Like, it's got some really, like, not just theoretical levels like VWAP or an anchored, but you've actually got prices where it was constructive for a while on Marvell, like the 115, the 112, and of course a top break at a 120. So I think that does set up. That said, I mean, BROADCOM's too juicy to ignore today. But pick your poison. I mean, they're both going to move. Just don't get caught. Without a plan of action. Like, know the area you're trying to trade off of, and if it's a falling knife into your dip buy zone, you don't just have to be sitting on the bid praying. you are able to allow it to set up the trade for you and then try to get it on the way back up if it ends up being a dip buy. It's hard to chase, especially with the market pulling back in here.
Yeah, this thing's been on a beautiful beautiful run up, and again another great example of long-term stonks only go up. Obviously not all of them, but definitely ones like looking like these. You can see that consolidation that we had over the past year or so. We again pretty wide, 183s all the way down to 130. So about a 50-point kind of a wash there. Holds that prior kind of consolidation and then pushes back up. And look at that, no real kind of, we had descending volume going into this earnings, and right now pre-market we're trading much higher here as of right now. So I just want to go down to the three-hour chart here and just to take a look and see that there was a bit of a resistance here at that 186, 187 level that we have broken out of in the after hours off of that earnings report right here. So that 183, 186 level right here. So I've marked off a few levels. That 183, again, you can see off of the earnings reaction, we break that level, we pull back off of these highs at 192. So I've marked off some support and resistance levels that I do like, and there is the anchored VWAP right here off of the earnings reaction as well. That 190, and then this base down here at 183. That's where it bounces off of. So it actually bounces off of that prior resistance. And then turns into support for an aggressive bid to come back in again with some volume as well for the push continuation all the way up to 200s. We're trading at a high of 214.38 as of right now. Maybe some support there from the after hours again at that 201 to 1.5 level. Just above that 200. So this anchored VWAP is continuing to trend up as the price action continues as well. Maybe some supports in the pre-market in and around 205s. I like this as well. After hours high in and around 209. We'll call it 210. We pull back in the pre-market right now. That 210 is holding as of right now underneath that 215 level. Again, highest price printed 214.38 right now on Broadcom. Could be interesting. The spread right now is about 10-15 pennies. Earlier when I was watching it this morning, the spread was like 50 pennies, and I was like, oh boy, I'll definitely have to size differently if the spread is 50 pennies. But if it's going to be like right now, it's literally trading out at a 1 penny spread, 213.40s, 42 against 42, 44, 43s. But yeah, that thing keeps on changing. So depending on how the spread comes in right off of the open, again, going to expect some volatility, but maybe there's some opportunities in and around some of these points, or we just get that straight up continuation right off of the open and we just blast to that 1 trillion mark. And Neil said that's in and around that 215. But I wouldn't necessarily fixate, like we were saying earlier, on a market cap level price. But yeah, if you know that that's right there, maybe looking for specific kinds of price action on the tape at those points might be a little better to watch for. But I have no idea. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna just try to do my best to play the price action off of the open there. Sure, I have a couple of ideas, but I want to stay nimble at the same time. Long or short, I might be leaning a little bit one way versus the other, but we're coming into that 215 as of right now with about 130 lots on the ask right there. You can see 100, maybe 300 lots on the ask at that 215, as you can see right here. Market's taking a bit of a pullback though.
Yeah.
There it goes. There's 215. Got taken out.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Introducing a brand new discovery on the NASDAQ, Worksport, ticker WKSP. Worksport is a US-based manufacturer rapidly expanding with growing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off-grid. Whether you're on the move or seeking sustainable energy solutions, Worksport has you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ, WKSP. Discover the future of energy, clean energy with Worksport. Apple up next here, coming back in a bit of a hurry, actually. Still green on the day, but only 0.15 right now for Apple. A couple of positive notes from analysts this morning, including Baird, Morgan Stanley, also liking Apple once again.
Yeah, they're really talking about Apple Intelligence here, Breno. They're talking about, the enhanced Siri definitely helping things, the AI image tool that's expected to be released, and the ChatGPT integration obviously helps move the needle. They're talking about iPhone shipments projected to rise about 12%, guys, year over year to about 258 million units. And they're also talking about the service industry. Service revenue expected to grow about 11.5% compounding annual growth rate through 27, guys. And here's the deal. Less than 50% of Apple users Apple users pay for services. So a good runway there. And they're talking about possibly tiered Apple Intelligence, that some could be free, some could be paid. If that's the case, they're talking about $7 to $14 billion in incremental revenue added to the top line.
Not nothing. Working on 5 of 6 positive weeks in a row. This is a weekly chart for Apple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 6 weeks, guys. So still really strong here.
Really strong, but I actually have one of the more simplistic notes for Apple today. I just think it's a pretty simple one. Yeah, I got a couple of positive notes this morning. I only put that in there for posterity. No, it's retesting 250, but it needs to break the high of the fail break at 258. So I posted that to X, and this is why. Look, it's very simple. 2 days ago, I wasn't here on Wednesday, but you ran 250, you failed 250. And at first, when it broke it in the afternoon, like this, it got to 250 and a half. You're like, this is cruising. It'll be absolutely fine. Nope. Absolutely. Like the reversion was nasty on this. On a Friday, 250 is not going to be a big deal again. I think it's pretty simple. If it gets to 250, I'm not interested in a long over 250 that isn't breaking out the actual all-time high. So if it breaks the all-time high, that's a breakout long. If it gets to 250 and doesn't break that all-time high, then I'm looking for a short setup. And it's not a matter of I'm just going to sit on the offer at 250 with a stop up there. No, I think we'll be a little more patient than that. After AMD yesterday, I think you got to be a little bit more nuanced if it ends up screaming into that level. Now, the market's already pulling back, so maybe we don't get that push, but that's the look. That's the area I want to trade off of, and I'm not interested in a breakout trade that's just the round number on Apple. Regardless of what Morgan Stanley thinks, there's price action that we have to deal with here, and you saw what already happened at the 250 the first time. On a Friday, I would suspect there'd be a little bit more gravity attracting to that price if it tries to break.
Yeah, no, I think Apple's for that continuation, I think it's definitely something we could be looking for there. I was looking at this. Thank you, Randy.
Man. Thank you.
I was looking at this action from yesterday right here. Again, I was trying to revert it. I was like, all right, prior day, I did revert this push back through that 250, and then I covered everything relatively in and around that VWAP, and then it goes and does this, and I was like, oh boy, need some better reasons to exit. But take a look at this. Would you look at that? Next day, opening range low. Holds that prior day's low, so that's pretty. I like that. Look at that, and then you have this bid that's been kind of coming in around that 246 over the past. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 days, I would say. I guess, yeah, sure, you sell into it, but it still holds as a bid, so I still want to count it as a bit of a level hold there. And then now we're trading a little bit above, so let's see if we get back into those 246s. But yeah, for that continuation, I'm definitely going to be looking for that 250-80 to push through. But some selling there, aggressive selling was shown off of that level on Wednesday. So I'm just curious to know whether or not, if we do get past that 250, if those sellers do come in. If they don't, then I might be looking for that 250-80 to continue. But we'll see. It is a Friday. No idea what Apple's going to do on the day today. But market's taking a little bit of a pullback, and Apple's pulled back all the way into VWAP from a high, pre-market high of 249.5 right now. So
even Broadcom's pulled back underneath 215. We're going to get to Palantir, but it's on the list. Palantir's next. We're going to get to Tesla first, but I did want to acknowledge the Coleon family. Thank you for the super chat thoughts on Palantir for today. As you can see on the board, we are going to get to Palantir. And there was a question about HimX in the chat as well. Was I interested in HimX today after the move that it made yesterday? Short answer is, at this level of pre-market volume, no. It's gapped up. Like, I like the fact that it's holding the highs. I think when we talked about this one yesterday, it was all about whether it could, sustain the breakout that it's already put on, but the volume is going to matter If it can't start doing some volume at the open, I will not be that interested. It's more of like a come back and check this one out maybe after the opening range or the first couple of minutes to see if it's still going. But yeah, Palantir we'll get to for sure after Tesla with a question mark. Usually the answer for Tesla is yes, because
downside right now, but still positive on the morning here for Tesla. I mean, there's the Trump transition team trying to basically make it easier for the reporting system of autonomous crashes with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. This feature in China is actually kind of interesting. The actually smart summon.
Yeah.
I love that name.
Awesome.
Not the smart summon, but the actually smart summon your car. I saw that in firsthand scenarios with somebody who had a Model X. And we were at Yorkdale, actually, the mall, and we walked out of the restaurant, and his car was at the other end of the parking lot, but it was still line of sight. Amazing. And the car came to him on the summon feature. So, no, it's really cool. But the new name, actually Smart Summon, so much better. Imagine
not knowing about that and just watching the car just mosey its way on all over to you. Be like, what? What's going on? Where's the driver? No, seriously though, guys, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, basically in many different investigations into Tesla, specifically the one we're talking about today is the one that uses or when the driver assistance or an autonomous system is engaged at least up to 30 seconds before a crash. That's kind of the narrow window we're talking about here with respect to their investigation. Trump's transition team is proposing eliminating this rule, citing excessive data collection. Tesla obviously supports this. They oppose the rule in general, believing that it misrepresents their own safety record. Tesla has reported about 1,500 crashes to the TSA. TSA since the rule's inception, represents the most fatal crashes, about 40 to about 45, guys. So we'll have to keep an eye out on this one and see whether or not that rule remains in effect.
Yeah, I mean, probably not going to affect anything today. I mean, 420 probably more exciting as far as the talking point today, guys.
So look, for Tesla, it closed at 425 on Wednesday after a really strong day to make another fresh top. Then yesterday was let's try to break away from 425 and fail. This was at 8:30 on the number. We tried to break it out and failed it. At 9:30, right at the open, it tried to break 425 and failed it. Then when it looked strong above VWAP, I was long it from 422 to 425 off of VWAP, and it eventually made the breakout, then lost and reverted all the way back down to 416. So it's very simple for me on Tesla. It's 425. If we pop and fade off, if we pop and fail to hold above 425, I'm looking for a reversion day on Tesla. This is one where it's probably going to have to show you something in the low 400s for a support level. You don't really have a support level till you get down to the low 400s. But that's what you're looking for, or it's just going to have to take out 430 on Tesla. But otherwise, the market looks a little weak today. It already showed you 425 failures. I don't see any reason to look somewhere other than that.
Yeah, I kind of like this I guess pattern on it there. Strong sell, holds back above the next day. Here you can see that aggressive selling that came in on Monday of this week. Was it this week? Yes, it was. Sometimes the days get blurry, but the price action still remains. But we had a strong sell off, and then we hold that on the bid pretty nicely with a bit of a double bottom at that 400. So 400 level hold pushes up into a 429.90 into the after hours. Yesterday we couldn't really get to that level right there. Aggressive selling. So again, not as aggressive altogether as this, but again, after we attempted to do that, we never really caught a bid. So I guess more methodic selling all the way into the close. But we're holding above some of those levels above 416 as of right now. But yeah, I like that. Let's see. You can see right here, right away, something that stands out to me here on Tesla is a bit of a trend. Now I know as soon as I throw this trend line on, all my other trend lines and everything are going to show up. So that's a little messy right here. But you can see. Yeah, a lot of these are just short term. I like the anchors as well, but yeah, the naked chart is obviously the best chart to look at as it provides a clean, clear picture of what the price action has been doing. But yeah, a little bit of a pullback into the closing near low of day there at that 415, 416. So that's what I'll be looking for. Do we still hold some of these prior resistances as supports, or do we still hold some of these supports as supports, or do they become into resistances? That's the question I'll be asking today. 430s is the high. If we continue to squeeze like we did last Friday, Neil, I think Tesla is definitely one to keep an eye on.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like if it takes out the 430, like it starts squeezing. I mean, it is what it is. And I think
end of day squeeze.
You're always willing to join that when it starts going, but I think you got to be.
It's distinctly different. The tape.
Yeah, it's always
like
different.
Squeeze tape is distinctly different. Like you'll know.
Same thing with Palantir. When Palantir, we're gonna get to Palantir right now. Palantir is a kind of stock when it's really going, you can see it in the tape. Right now, it's not.
Downside, similar looking chart here to Apple actually for Palantir so far this morning. It was Mizuho this morning hating on Palantir. How dare they? But they raised their price target to 44. That's really it as far as catalyst this morning here for PLTR. Nice day yesterday, despite that late pullback.
Yeah, they don't really say much bad about Palantir. They praise their AIP network, saying it catalyzed U.S. commercial growth in AI, especially in the software industry, but they are kind of weary about the valuation. The stock's up 300% year to date. We'll have to keep an eye on exactly how it trades today, but yeah, not too much bad to say about this, Brendo, other than the valuation.
I mean, it's trading at $74 and they're raising their price target to $44. So, I mean, does this mean anything?
So I'm going to get to Palantir in just a quick second, but there was just a strong move down. BROADCOM had a 1.1 million sell imbalance that is now corrected to just under 1 million shares to sell. NVIDIA with a 300,000 sell imbalance. You just saw a little bit of a spike on a few names to the downside based on that. So it was BROADCOM that just just pulled back down to like 211 I saw. Well, that's starting to come back in on that sell imbalance, profit taking coming in. For Palantir, we only have 4 minutes left to keep it as simple as possible. It's rejected 75 twice this week with a local high at 75.60. Palantir breaks the local high from Tuesday. I'm going long. Palantir needs to, it's just like the Apple resistance above 250. If it can take out that next level, then it's a long. Otherwise, I'm looking for a fail, break 75 or a short into 75 that never takes out that level and a reversion play. But I have the stop order to break long at 75.60 on Palantir because I don't care if it breaks 75. It needs to get above that wick, and then I think it has a chance to run. So that's the thoughts on Palantir, keeping it real simple.
Yeah, I think a bit of a trend, higher highs, higher lows. We see that aggressive selling from Wednesday got bought right back up, trading a little bit higher. So yeah, that 75 going to be interesting. Again, even more aggressive selling that came in from Monday, right? And we've been making these tops in and around that 75 mark. So double top 75s. If we can continue and push on the run, I think that's definitely something to be watching out for. Failure to follow through technically over here below this 71 level or just intra-week, right? So could be interesting going into the end of the week. We've attempted to go down. We held on the bid, and now we're kind of trickling back up into this double top resistance on the week. So should be interesting. Some key levels, maybe potentially Palantir. Who knows?
Some Chinese ADRs here to wrap things up. A couple minutes to go. Day lows right now. They're weak as a group right across the board. Bring up any. This is Alibaba, 1.14%. JD.com actually a little bit stronger than the rest, just taking out session highs, still down better part of 2%. So, I mean, there's no real significant news story here, but just another day, another gap downside for China.
Yeah, it was interesting here. The loans, the estimated loans value for the Chinese market, 580 billion yuan versus that 950 billion that was expected. That's a big miss there. And it just really reflects the overall weakness of the Chinese economy at the moment. Separately, there was a bond story with respect to Chinese bonds. Didn't do as well as expected. So we'll keep an eye on these ADRs today, already weak, Brendan.
Yeah, if it is a weak day in the overall market, somewhere to go for a short possibly, guys.
And we mentioned specifically Alibaba a little bit earlier in the show, the $90 level on Alibaba. The other way to look at it is you could flat bottom break the 88, although I'm not looking for a flat bottom break on the Chinese ADRs. You've got support there. This needs to clear above 90. It's made the trend reversion on the daily chart. It's made the consolidation above. But if the next move isn't taking out that top at the 90, then I think you're headed back into that 200 period moving average. You just had another leg down here on a couple of names. Tesla just cracked 420. Again, the imbalances, it's actually paired off on BROADCOM, the imbalance that was there, and all of a sudden you're getting a decent bounce back up to 214. That sell imbalance no longer there. Uber has a small buy imbalance of 250,000. Of course, Uber has been under pressure the last couple of days. It's gapping up. So most of the imbalances have paired off, but you're still getting a decent down move. Palantir just dropped 50 pennies. Tesla just dropped about $1.50 or so. And once again, you've got some weakness in AMD, which I don't know if it's going to give us the same kind of play off that resistance, just above between 132 and 133. But it's the chip name that's been the fade when it gets to resistance levels. But I'm not going to trade China today. We already, with BROADCOM, Apple, Palantir on the docket, and obviously looking at some Tesla as well, it's going to be hard to squeeze in any trading in China.
Yeah, I think, again, China week, we can see that if you go back and look at where this rejection came off of on Monday, it's a prior resistance level here. I'm looking at the Hang Seng index right here. So, yeah, gap down, but sure, gap down, it's just a continuation of the action we've been getting all week here on the Hang Seng. But yes, Neil is definitely correct. Not the top idea on the day, definitely. I got the market on watch. I got a little bit of AVGO on watch, and with only about 15 seconds left to the bell, good luck, everyone, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
And the bell brought to you by WorkSport. Add WorkSport to your watch list today. Adara, ring it. And I try to not say that it's Friday the 13th, but it is Friday the 13th. I mean, it's factually true. So BROADCOM right now is trying to bounce off. Like VWAP sits at 212. It's trying to make a bit of a bounce. The high in the pre-market, it did get up to like 216.5, so it was $1 trillion company very briefly. Yeah, still going to let this one calm down. Tesla just made another leg. It just lost the 420 level. It's headed to your 416. Or the 416, as we like to call it around here, right quick. Apple does not want to test 250. I had to. It does not want to test 250 yet, but lo and behold, if it gets up there, the first look, it has to break 250.80, I believe, is that top. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to stay away from Apple longs. And there goes Palantir already trying to make a bit of a bounce. So that 75 is going to be a fade zone. And one before I go to you. Yesterday, it was an all-you-can-eat buffet for AMD to pop and fade. Today, AMD just goes straight down. So again, looking short, but it doesn't give you anything up near the pre-market highs. AMD wastes no time.
Yeah, so I guess, again, taking a little bit of a stab here on the AVGO. Probably, I don't know. I don't really expect it to work right away, but again, I'm more than willing to flip a little bit here and there as well. Okay, there you go. Kind of stopped out of that one there. So we did pull back into those 211s there, and then pushed a little bit higher. So we are continuing to push through that 214 as of right now. So I was looking for a hold underneath that VWAP. That didn't really come in. Remember, 216.57 is the pre-market high as of right now. So we are kind of clipping some of day highs. There is some size on the ask at that 215. Oh boy, there it goes.
It's
215s, and it pulls back again once again. So again, going to be watching out for that 216.57 pre-market high here on AVGO if that can potentially come in. But yeah, a lot of chop here. Again, we were talking about some of the spread on this thing a little bit earlier, and yeah, this thing has a bit of a nasty spread, and not just the spread. The volatility is kind of crazy as well. Like this thing is giving us a 20-30 penny spread at times, but jumping around another 20-30 pennies as orders kind of hit the book there. So here comes 215 halves right here. Let's see if we can clip those pre-market highs in and around 216.57. So 215's trading right now. I gave it a one shot. I guess that was a great reason to buy, because I was like, oh boy, this thing's gonna rip right back up through that VWAP right there, and that VWAP was at 212s, and I got stopped out. We're trading at 216s as of right now, building into it, but this thing is washing a point up, a point down on its way there. So let me pull up. I got to pull up like a 30-second chart or a 10-second chart on this one to get a little bit of a cleaner perspective.
Obi, while that goes upside, Upstart is joining the party as well. So you held on to that 80 level for Upstart. Just remember, every time it's gotten to the 85 the last couple of weeks, it has made a rejection off that 85 level. Like if this gets through 86, I think it's much more interesting. But there's been big reversals on this stock both times. So I have this one on radar, but it's Palantir that's getting to that 75 zone. So as long as it gets to the 75, it needs to break 75.60 for a long for me. Otherwise, I'm looking for the mean reversion on PLTR. Tesla still looking incredibly weak. Apple doing absolutely nothing. AMD's catching a bid. The market is definitely catching a bid. I think basically we're just going where Broadcom is going. Like the market's getting a bounce because Broadcom is going absolutely ham. But Palantir's getting close to that 75 zone. Still believe it's a fade until it gets to 75.60. I'm not making the play on the long break. There goes Broadcom to the all-time high.
There we go. 217s right away.
It wants 20s. I just canceled my 10 bid.
I mean, the chop on this thing is crazy, man. Like, what is the bar low here? 214s. All right. Well, you know what? That's pretty wild there. 216s. But is this going to fail to follow through that pre-market high? I got no idea. But I did take a stab at the long through that pre-market high. But we're sustaining on the bid as of right now, trading 216 halves. Let's see if we can push through that 217 and get to that 220. We did hold that 212 quite well and break through that pre-market high, making some fresh highs. It's 934 right now, guys. Oh boy. So yeah, we're coming right back in as of right now here. So. Oh, this thing is choppy, man. Like I don't know. It's a lot more messy than I expected it to be. But again, I guess VWAP was the place to be, as VWAP hold is the one thing that worked really well right off of the open there. So technically, VWAP is at 213 as of right now, kind of continuing to chop in and around this 216 mark on AVGO. So don't forget to like and subscribe as we bring you these day one earnings and the crazy volatility as it happens live here on the markets. Market taking a little bit of a bump here off of that 21,800. What are the chips up to?
NVIDIA almost went red just now, and it's trying to bounce off 138, while also on AMD, and like I said, you can pretty much stick a fork in. I'm not shorting any lows on this, down 1.6% and continuing to go lower. It's Broadcom, which is just holding everything up. As I know we're going to Adara, but like as of right now, the closest thing to target zone is Palantir's getting into that 75. Let's go up to the desk, I believe. Yes?
Riot? RIOT, look at this volume pop right off the open. Around 9 a.m. here, we got some reports at the company announcing they've acquired roughly 5,000 Bitcoin here, 5,117 Bitcoin for $150 million. So looks like Riot's getting a nice pop off the open here on that Bitcoin acquisition news. Again, $150 million worth of Bitcoin for this company that has about a 14.3% short float. Back to you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Just the position board needs to be corrected, guys.
Wrong. So it only has my
We need to
initial
reset the
position on
position
there,
board.
but I did flip long on top of that pre-market support, long at 216.60s right now. Holding through this chop, right? Like I realized, I'm like, all right, well, if I'm gonna have to like kind of work into this, I might need to give it like a two point risk right here, all the way down to 213s is VWAP right here, and that's where the bid was off of the open. So it might take a couple more tries for this idea to manifest if it is going to. But again, we're looking decent on a 15-minute, looking decent on the 30-second as well. And I gotta pull up a couple other frames as well.
Oh, you're not gonna believe what happened.
What happened?
Titan broke 100.
Oh yeah,
I totally
it did that last
forgot.
night. So last night.
No, but at the open.
We went down to 95s last night.
It bounced at the open to 99.95 and is now at 96. Wow.
Come to me, please. Throw.
We're going back to Adara already? Yep, back to Adara.
Let's talk about ACHR here. Archer Aviation up about 15%. This is 8 million shares traded so far today on that 15-minute candle, so pretty significant volume. 24.6% short float. Looks like a couple different catalysts motivating this move to the upside. We got a price target increase this morning from Canaccord Genuity to $11. We also had the company right after the open, it looks like around 9:32, filing for an offering of up to 93.6 million shares of common stock, which is being offered by selling stockholders. We also, though, did have Cathie Wood adding roughly $36.5 million worth of the company's shares to 3 of these ARK ETFs. So ACHR getting picked up by Cathie Wood, getting that price target increase, and announcing a stock offering here, guys. Back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Palantir is, well, Tesla's tanking. Palantir just pressed into that 75. It's 75.60. That is the local high when you go out into the daily chart. Or the 15-minute chart, but I got the eyeballs on the version. If it doesn't break 75.60, I'm looking to play it back on through. So it's looking like it's rejecting, at least for now. It's not underneath that 75 zone, but it's in the target area for the short. Want to make sure I have my stop locked and loaded and ready to go. If we get another double top in here, I'm looking, like I said, looking for the mean revert. And for those of you who are following Tesla, it is now down in that 416 zone. So if you're playing off of yesterday's support, Tesla is right there right now, but it's Palantir that's at the key level for me. If it closes this bar underneath the 75, I'm looking for the revert there. Position board's not correct because Obi's in a $7 winner. You're long.
$7 winner? I wish.
Long AVGO. What? I
said,
thought you were long at that price.
No, I'm not long at that price. I got out. So I was initially short over here at that 211. Yeah, so 211 right there. Stopped out on the 212s. And then missed out on about 4 points worth of a run there. Again, the VWAP long has been working out quite well, but it's continuing to hold and push a little bit higher as of right now. It's still chopping around this 216 area. So yeah, my average is 216.66. But yeah, I'm looking to get in more. I realized that this thing didn't necessarily open up the way I was really looking for right off the bat. I was definitely wrong on not getting long at that VWAP mark. But you know what? It is what it is. Like I said, we stay a little bit nimble. Look at the market. Market's coming back up to the upside. ES is turning as well, so that's pretty good on our part. Okay, so Intel maybe at that interesting level as well. So I got to keep an eye on chips at the same time. Oh my God, look at that advanced money destroyer straight to the downside. Right. Absolutely quadunking as I see Sharif just with his head in his hands right here, just shaking his head.
Everybody loves it.
Show the chart? Yeah, right here. I'll show the chart right here. AMD, that's Intel. I'm watching that one as well. But AMD, 132s all the way down to 128. So, oh boy, here comes the AVGO once again, quadunking. Let's see if we can hold VWAP this time around here on AVGO as we trade 215 halves right now. Tesla to the downside as well. What's up, Adara?
Just be aware here of some of these Chinese ADR names potentially. We did have a drop, not right at 930, but around 933 on names like Alibaba. The Federal Register apparently showing that the U.S. is going to be raising tariffs on some Chinese exports here, including polysilicon, wafers, and tungsten, starting on January 1st. So some more Chinese tariff news coming out here of the U.S. It's going to start January 1st. So beware of some of these Chinese names, perhaps, with that news, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like, remember, this market is just chilling out. Like, the NASDAQ is at the highs as we speak. Tesla bouncing off of the lows. We just got that reversal on Palantir. Didn't quite get, when it lost and closed underneath 75, the consolidation of liquidity was at the 74, 75 range. So that's where I was able to get in. Now we're looking to play back. We already got some at the mid, and then we're looking to get some out in front of pre-market support at the quarter mark, and then we'd play back into the pre-market lows. If we get a reload, I don't want this making a higher low. If it bounces here and takes out 75, that would be bullish. And sort of as I'm saying that, I'm not getting filled at 15. Haha, pull bid, and then punch 15. If you put sometimes if you're bidding a specific price, it's an obvious price, like 10, 15 or something like that, and it's getting to 16, 17, pull bid, it comes back down, and then you punch. That's not right. That was my last cover was just at 15. So the position board is still incorrect. It's showing that my last out on Palantir is now a long, but no, I'm short Palantir at 74, 75. I just covered some at 74.15. And it's the only position I have on for the short. The market's breaking out, and this is coming back in. By the way, Apple's almost at 250 as well. So the market is going higher and looking very strong. Bitcoin's about to get to 101,000 Bitcoin's trying to get to. But let's go back up to this with Adara. Market is flying. BROADCOM is flying.
Yeah.
Another ticker really strong today is actually Eli Lilly, up about 1%. It's worth noting there's not a ton of volume on this move, about 350,000 shares traded so far today. But they do have a catalyst. They announced that their OMVO treatment has actually been recommended by one of the EMAs, or I guess the European Market Authority's approval boards here. So it's being recommended for approval. This is a Crohn's disease treatment. So one of Eli Lilly's treatments getting approval recommendation here by a European board, guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara.
Make sure to hit that. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe, everybody, if you're enjoying the show. Like, there's a lot of questions in the chat, and I'll try to. It's pretty simple here. Jules, please take a look at Sens. I see Kenneth Law. Nvidia's tanking. Why is the market falling? I have not looked at SDNS. Usually some of those small caps, we get to them a little bit later. I'm trading Palantir as we speak, but NVIDIA has not been moving the way the market has every single day. It hasn't had the same level of strength. And it's the same thing with AMD. The chips have not been that good. Broadcom is outpacing most of the chip sector currently. It's breaking higher. It's almost as if you're getting some kind of a shift in some of the AI plays. So yeah, NVIDIA is catching a bid, but Broadcom is absolutely on a tear today, up 21% and still going. Apple getting real close to that 250. I still believe with Apple, I'm treating this one like Palantir. Unless it's breaking out this local high at 250.80, then I'm looking for a failure at the 250 level. Not going to be chasing that one to the upside. Okay, now Tesla is starting to catch a bid. So Tesla just did that 416 bounce. You got to pick your poison. I like Palantir short at 75 more than I like the Tesla long at 416, but it's now going to try to test that 425. That's going to be a big resistance level. 220.
Yeah,
incoming
220. That's what that's
Broadcom.
the idea here.
220 incoming on Broadcom.
219. Wow. We got to break through that 219 first, Neil. Yeah, let's see if that 219 comes in. But take a look at how strong this market is. Oh boy, we got past 21.9. We're only 10 points away from 21.9. Here comes 218s here on AVGO. Let's see if we can break those 219s. Yes, Remy, my position is correct now on the possession. What do we call that?
Position board.
Position board. Okay, yeah, position board. Yes. So there goes straight through that 219. Let's see if any of these pullbacks get bought up. Let's see where they do get bought up here as of right now. We are pushing right into that 220. So do I need more at that 220? That's the question I'm asking right now. Maybe I need more at that 220. If we can break through that 220, maybe a little bit of a pullback through that 220 can give us more of a held bid there for a continuation.
Oh my God.
Oh boy, that VWAP, man, that VWAP was a great reason to buy. I don't know why. I mean, I know why I shorted below VWAP, but then getting that aggressive buy, being like, oh yeah, I need to get out when we bid back above 212s. I think 212s was a great entry long on this ticker. I got 216s, bought some more on the pullback at 215s, and then now we're pushing into 220s. Oh boy, I definitely don't have enough. Nowhere near what I need to be in. And I was talking to Neil about like how much I really wanted if this comes in real clean.
Something is better than nothing.
Something is better than nothing, but yeah, I guess. We'll see. We'll see.
You could have been sitting at
220.
You could have been sitting at 210 and gotten nothing. That's the other.
Yeah, I like that 210. But here's the thing: I wasn't looking for necessarily exactly for that 210. I was looking for a bid to sustain above that 210, right? As it was a little bit of a support level in the pre-market. But here comes that 220. Oh boy, how much size is sitting there? About 1.1 K lots sitting at that 220 as of right now. I don't even have time to throw in an edge above that level right now. But I'm going to continue watching it and play some price action, play the trade. Here comes 220. Maybe some more people stepping up right there. 220 halves instantly. Oh, wow. So prints half a point above 220 instantly, and we're continuing to go. AVGO, the middle one right here, the one that's running straight up, Ramin. So this is the ticker right here. This is the tape. So I'm sorry. we're running into 221s. Let's see if we can take this through 225, right? That's the next. Is that the next level? I have no idea, but a sustained bid accelerating to the upside. We have that market tailwind as well. So yeah, that's definitely on our side. Let's see if we can push this a little bit more. Oh boy, 4 points, but I could add 4 points more from the lows, but we're not even thinking about that right now. Where is that? There's a little bit of a prior bar break on the 30-minute or 30-second there, but let's see if we continue to hold a bit of this trend right here. As the second 15-minute candle still has about 13 minutes left to print. What's up, Neil?
So the 120 on Marvell, as we just got that 220 break, the all-time high on Marvell just wicked the top here. So Marvell took 120 and then immediately snapped back down. So a bit of a rejection candle on Marvell, simultaneous with that 220 break and pullback on Broadcom. So you might have just had a little bit of a turn. Let's watch this. I'm going to watch to see how Marvell reacts to VWAP in here. Unfortunately, I mean, if we do pull back, yeah, I'm not at a reload spot in Palantir. It would have to press a little bit higher and tighter to that 75 level for a curl. Tesla's getting close to 425, and Apple's adjacent to that 250 level to look for a little bit of a curl. But eyes are on Broadcom and Marvell at this moment. Like, this is a level that you don't want to lose here, especially again, a failed all-time high break. I think at least you retest VWAP over there. Yeah, we just didn't get close enough to that reload spot on Palantir for myself. So it's either going to be Apple gets to 250 for the curl. Tesla doesn't seem to want that 425 just yet, but there's a lot of chip names that are going. I see Micron in the chat. That's not one that I'm tracking, but it just made another high, up 5 points on Micron. And if you're watching Micron, pull up a daily chart. This is 105. That's a 50-period moving average. A lot of resistance at that 105. Let's see Broadcom retake that 220.
That pullback was beautiful.
Take that 220.
We pulled back to like 219s. I got a breadcrumb more on that pullback there. Let's see if we can get into that 225 again. Psychological levels, all-time highs, blue skies, whatever you want to call them. But we're flying to the upside, and this is definitely AVGOing. Going to the upside right here at 221s now. So 221s. Can we get through the two halves right now? So 22.50 is what I'm looking for. If we can get above that and sustain, maybe we push to the 25. But again, this taker was very, very choppy, very aggressive, a little competitive off of the open there, but not really competitive if your idea was getting long at VWAP. That was pretty straightforward and simple there, and it worked. It is working really, really well. But 220 maybe a little bit of an issue here as we kind of chop and churn. Bid has definitely kind of slowed down, not as aggressive as it has been off of that VWAP hold, off of that morning dip. High a day currently 221.21 here, Neil, trading back below this 219. So aggressive selling now coming in. Oh boy, will I have to let go of this one? Only time will tell, as we're taking a little bit of a pullback. But then again, it's okay. I'm more than willing to break even or take a little bit of a paper cut on this ticker to get right back in for the next trade. And what is the next trade, Neil? I have no idea, but we're coming right back in hot through that 118 as of right now. So prior bar low break on the 3-minute, but we've already broken prior bar a couple candles ago as well, and we bid right back up. So it seems like that's not really necessarily respecting. So let me go to like a 5-minute right here. So 5-minute prior bar just broke as well for the first time with a strong top wick. Wow, so the top wick comes in from 219 all the way to 221 is the range of that wick. And if we blast through some of these highs now, oh boy, will we have created some of the buying pressure needed to get to that 225? I have no idea. But you know what? Just being patient, watching.
Ride it, my friend.
Just ride it.
Ride 'em, cowboy. And I know it was epic strategy in the chat. It's like, oh, well, why not be long the Tesla at 416? It comes down to a matter of timing. This is Tesla at 416. You can like that level all you want, but you always have to pick and choose. And on some level, you've got to prioritize. That was the exact same moment that Palantir failed for 75. So you just got to be able to pick your spot there. And I picked Palantir, which Palantir doesn't even get to the low. So it might end up overall that the Tesla 416 long ends up better than that short. When we make a lower high, my stop goes into the 75 here. I only want to reload if this is looking like a good setup. And right now it's some higher lows into that level. It's not setting up at a reload at this exact price. Where we got it before. Average price is actually 75. That's because I got some at the top and then added on the way down at 70. So it's first in, first out. But that pullback on Broadcom had different results for Marvell because Marvell still hasn't regained that $120 level. Like if it can't get this, remember, this is a double top for earnings for Marvell. So getting and holding above 120, and I think it does a continuation along with Broadcom. So I didn't get into Broadcom because I didn't get those 210s, but it seems to hold above 120, or even this looks like a reversion. Apple doesn't have the juice today, I don't think. It just doesn't seem like it even wants to get up there. I like the fade, but I actually liked it above 250 for the fade. It's not even getting close to the 250 level at all for Apple. That said, Tesla does seem to want that 425. This won't be the next one on watch. If I don't get a good entry for a reload on Palantir, we're holding for the low of the day at this point, and Tesla 425 should be the next one to watch. Let me know what you guys are watching. Bearded Warrior Trades is saying we should be looking at Alphabet.
What's Alpha doing?
Oh, Alphabet's at VWAP, so 191 is a key area to hold here, and we already wicked it. This is not good if we lose the prior high on Google. Like there's your prior high in the daily. You just made a 52-week high. Bit of a head and shoulders setup happening here. This does not want to lose the bottom. If Google loses the bottom in a strong market, then we're in a world of trouble. This stock's in a world of trouble. Strong market, you already pulled back off an all-time high to lose the 120, and I think you have a decent chance of filling in a little bit of that gap. So obviously not looking too good on Google when the market's at the top and up 1% and you are just turning red. Clearly not the strong stock that many would have thought it was. So for the chip names right now, I don't want to be, I'm not chasing Broadcom. It's Marvell that I have the eyeballs on. And the more I look at it, the more it's like, why am I trying to think this is going to get back above 120? If Broadcom's still going and it just rejected its all-time high, either it gives you a good support level for continuation, or I got to think of this as a reversion move. So we're holding Palantir. It's in the money, 70 pennies, but I want more than a 1% move on this stock.
Yeah, let's see. We came right back up to 221 right now, Neil, kind of holding on the ask there, 221, maybe potentially. Did that reserve for a second? I have no idea. But a lot of mid prints again. Chop, I'm not, I guess what I can say confidently is I am not really used to trading tickers with this kind of action as of right now, but this is interesting. Again, I'm putting in the rep. I'm learning as we go here. It's pretty volatile as well, but you know what? I guess you learn to kind of dance with that volatility, looking for that continuation, bigger picture move here. Again, all-time highs. This thing is what? We passed that 1 trillion mark, right? Around
we're well past that.
So this thing is running like crazy now. Again, AVGO, Broadcom chips. Some interesting stuff down the line for Broadcom chips if you guys have been listening to their earnings report and stuff like that. Market taking a little bit of a pullback. What's up, Adara?
We have a penny stock on the move here. It is Worksport. They are up right now about 8 1/3%, around that 96-cent level, so just shy of $1. Not a ton of volume yet today, around 500,000 shares, but interesting catalyst moving them. Earlier, they announced their kind of evaluating crypto strategy. They provided an update on that. Currently advancing $5 million BTC and XRP integration as part of their treasury strategy. They're also evaluating crypto custody services, and they're also preparing apparently for accepting e-commerce crypto payments. So WKSP here with some crypto updates. They also reported a 117% increase here in their dealer network growth. So some growth and crypto updates for WKSP, guys. Back to you.
Thank you.
Shout out to Worksport there. Okay, so Tesla did not get to 425. It just wicked the pre-market high at 424. I got short back underneath 423. This is going to be, if it breaks back above, not even the high. If it breaks 424, this will be an easy out for me on Tesla. But it didn't, like I said, it didn't get to 425. Instead, we'll look for a pullback, 22s, and then VWAP. This market's starting to do a little bit of a curl. So some of the strength that Broadcom has led us to is abating just a little bit here, and I want to respect it. Apple's going to have to be a different plan of action for me because it doesn't seem to want to go. The market's going higher. It at no point broke any highs. It's now underneath VWAP. We're going to have to adjust the plan looking for the pop and fade on Apple. But Tesla, Tesla did give you that play close to the 25 level. There's your topping tail. We get in. I think 420 holds, and we got to respect it, maybe jump out. See what happens there. You should probably flip long and buy at 420.69. That's a good one, Josh Shea. Hey, I can appreciate a good one. I like that. I got no issues whatsoever with that idea. So Tesla, we're in. But if you look at some of the other chip names, there goes AMD. Sorry, I almost said AMD, assuming the weak one's AMD. It's NVIDIA. NVIDIA back underneath VWAP, and with the market curling, this is another name to maybe look for that reversion play. We're still holding on to Palantir as that's under VWAP. I think we've got a good entry point on this stock. I think we can get to that low on PLTR. And Broadcom, once again, man, that 220, it keeps on losing that 220. And now Marvell's trying to regain the 120 level. If we close another bar under 220 on Broadcom, maybe, you know what, here's a better way to look at this. If Broadcom loses the uptrend, then I'm probably going to look for a short entry off 220 in Marvell. It's up on sympathy. Broadcom's holding it higher, and I think the reversion comes. If I can get both of them reverting at the same time, at least I'm not in the one that reported and should be stronger. Broadcom up 21, but Marvell's up 10% on its own too.
Yeah, I gotta make sure some of these things are correct here. But yeah, no, It's still holding up in and around. It's churning around this 220 mark there. A bit of a consolidation happening as of right now. It's gone a bit sideways after marking that high at 221.21. Bit of a triple top ish action right here as of right now. But again, the higher time frames looking decent. We're coming into the close of the first 30-minute candle here on AVGO. Have a good one, Sharif. So let's see where VWAP's at. VWAP's at 215.72 right now. So that's where the bid was right off of the open. And I don't know if it's going to get all the way down to VWAP, but I think it definitely worth a watch if and when it can get there. Market's super strong as well. So we got that tailwind going for us, pulling back right through that 219 as of right now. So some aggressive selling maybe coming in relative to what we've been doing before. But let's see if we can hold a little bit of the bid here. Where's that prior low? 217s, 216s. All right, cool. That's not bad. That's in and around where I'm sitting at with the average. But yeah, more than willing to kind of be nimble with it and reassess as it continues to look like it might be working here as of right now. But that opening drive off of that dip, a bit of that give and that go, definitely showing up off of that VWAP there.
It's a good basketball reference.
Yeah.
Did you know it was one?
Yeah, the give and go.
Okay. So yeah. I like that. Well played, Obi.
I play some
well
basketball
played.
Sometimes.
Oh, I didn't know you played. A couple of things. Tesla.
I love playing sports, yes. Watching sports, not so much. I know nothing about watching.
No, that's fair. I get it. Everyone, I enjoy playing when I'm able to. Obviously, you can't do much when you have Achilles injury, but I do enjoy playing more than watching. So the weird thing that's happening is Broadcom's losing trend, but Marvell's going higher. So I do have them both up here. Like you're losing the trend line and reverting a little bit here on AVGO, while at the same time, you're still pressing the high here. So it might just be a 120 play. We're going to go to happening now with Adara, but if we close under trend line on Broadcom and Marvell loses 120, I'm punching short into Marvell at that moment. But let's go to Adara. What's happening now? Oh, Tesla broke 425.
What a look for the NASDAQ. We have this pop here right off the open with that strong 15-minute candle. We're currently up about 1% and change and holding nicely to that previous resistance here on that 530 level. We also have the S&P 500 actually behaving distinctly differently here. We're up about 1/3% on the SPY. Well, as mentioned here, we have the NASDAQ up over 1%. Lots of strength on watch here with Broadcom earnings, of course, RH earnings. Both of those are trading higher after those reports. Of course, crypto still on watch with Riot buying $150 million worth of Bitcoin. And we have the FOMC meeting coming up. That's going to be next Wednesday. A little bit of economic data today. Both import and export prices a little bit higher than expected for the month of November. Now, the other earnings report we have to talk about is Costco, up about 1 1/3%. Making a bit of a bull flag here on this 3-minute chart with a pretty strong report. They beat here on EPS and sales estimates and apparently reaching quite a few records, including 4.2 million Thanksgiving pie sales for this quarter. Then we also have Upstart, UPST. This one up about 10% and trying to take out day's highs, getting an upgrade from Needham and a $100 price target after the Needham analyst met with some executive team members from Upstart, including its CFO. And last but not least, Uber. This one's been on watch since last week. We had that Waymo announcement with regards to Waymo, which is backed by Google, moving into Miami. We had Uber sell off on that. Then a couple days ago, we've had this news and some analysts weighing in since with regards to GM now saying that Cruise is not going to be working in robotaxis, leading, I guess, some autonomous vehicle deals up in the air, including those that could potentially impact Uber. So UBER and LYFT definitely still on watch. Make sure if you're enjoying what you're watching to hit the like and subscribe buttons and join us every trading day. Back to you guys.
I 100% agree with Bob S. that Costco needs to split. I think that we can all agree that it would be a heck of a lot more fun if Costco would simply split so it could be a $100 stock and not a $1,000 stock, and it would just be a little bit more exciting. So Tesla did break out. First short, 23, good. 24, got in and out flat. I actually had a reverse long that did not hold the 425 break, but then I realized I didn't want a 425 break. I wanted to see buyers above 425 and was looking short into it, and that's what the original trade that worked was. So unless I can see it consolidate above 425, I still want to give it a couple of heartbeats. So we did have a couple of in and outs flat. There was one long in there that was an L, but most of it was just flat trading. Broadcom is still, I know Obi's in it, but it's still holding underneath that early trend. It hasn't broken back down significantly. So while that's happening, Marvell is still flying. I still think Marvell is going to reverse if Broadcom does, but at this point, Marvell is starting to give it the juice. If you're watching AMD and NVIDIA, AMD just pulled into 130 and dumped it back into VWAP. I don't think it wants to get back to green. I was looking for maybe a red to green revert. We did want short AMD today, but if you weren't short literally at the open, it then went into an upward trend. And I didn't want to be shorting this in an upward trend while the market's at the high. So obviously, this one, it's set up for a short at the open. It didn't give me an obvious retry yet. So I'm just not going to do it. Like I said, Tesla, I want to see the bid start holding that 425 before getting into it. Otherwise, let's wait to see where it picked up. Like it bid the short at 422 down here on the way back through. So if it loses 425, I think it just heads right back into that 22 and then look for the long at that point. NVIDIA is looking pretty good as well. Like I feel like this could be a good one if it can get back and break that 140 there, Obi.
Yeah, that 140 is definitely an interesting level here. Again, I'm kind of just staring down this Broadcom like a hawk there as we kind of consolidate sideways in that range when we took that first little pullback. So price compression happening as of right now. VWAP all the way down at 216. So oh boy, there comes the ES to the downside and the NASDAQ. So let's see if Broadcom can sustain and do its own things. Earnings day one, absolutely crazy move. Hopefully you guys had exercised on some of these opportunities on the day today. What's up, Adara?
Marvell and Micron were mentioned early on as Broadcom sympathy plays, and I think we found another one here. It's going to be ARM Holdings, ARM, about 5 1/3% right now on the day. This one has been a little bit of an uptrend as well, starting on Wednesday. So continued strength here for ARM. Again, no specific catalyst, but as it is a semiconductor, it looks like it could be a Broadcom sympathy move. Guys, back to you.
Oh, it's for sure a sympathy play at this point. So like it's not as strong as Marvell. It's obviously not as strong as Marvell, but don't forget how good technically this has been on that daily. We showed this yesterday, 200 period, 50 period. It seems like all roads are headed to, if not for where we've already gotten to, head to this 160 next resistance level. So if the upward trend could continue, I think Broadcom has to hold trend, then I think it could get there. But you're not holding the trend. Like you're actually, like the NASDAQ's starting to roll over. Like you've closed underneath the early trend line on Broadcom here. So if we consolidate and make a lower high and actually break support, I do feel like some of these sympathy names could start to pull back in. I'd be a little bit cautious. I wouldn't want to be chasing these ones.
Yeah, that's for sure, Neil. Now, I had a question for you. So Broadcom hit that 1 trillion mark. Pretty decent milestone there. And we see that it's kind of moved up in the ranks on some of the ETFs. Now, in terms of like rebalancing, how does that usually work? Do people want to rebalance off of the open into the close? Like how quickly does that rebalancing of portfolios happen when they realize that, okay,
well, about the indexes or like individual people?
Both.
Indexes don't react that fast. Yeah. Like any reaction on like the S&P or the NASDAQ for rebalancing on Broadcom, that'll end up happening in the new year will be affected by this move. Right. Primarily because anything you're doing for the year-end rebalances, which are next week is witching, that's already in. Like they've already made those decisions, and so they've already made most of that adjustments. Individuals can do it at any time, but also keep in mind, like if for anyone taking profits on Broadcom, it's been one of the strongest chip names. You're just taking a big tax bill. Like why wouldn't you wait until January to sell some? Especially because the index won't be down weighting it until next year, probably in the first quarter. Then why would you? I mean, people could sell. People could always take profit. It's just like, why would you take the tax hit now when you could just wait until early next year? Yeah, okay, that's fair. I'm just curious because I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah, no, I mean it's I guess it's a good thought experiment, but not necessarily. It doesn't really mean much in terms of like trying to play the ticker real time. Maybe if I had a bit of that information, maybe I have some more conviction to go one way or the other at a different or given the time of day, maybe. But I don't know.
some things I still have to, a lot of things I still have to learn in the market. And again, never going to be fully 100%, right? There's always something to learn.
There's always more to learn.
There's never a full 100% mastery. But here we come right back in. But the market,
just remember,
the market's aggressively selling off.
With the markets,
yes,
you know nothing, Jon Snow.
Of course.
That's all you need to know.
Call me Jon Snow, because I definitely know nothing.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody. I don't know. Like, if the moment you think you know everything about the market, of course you can't get the offer on. Of course you can't get the offer. I tried on the way back in. There was a revert just now on Marvell, which I was eyeballing, and I didn't get. I'm not going to chase that down. No, the second you think you know everything about the market and there's nothing left to learn, that's the end of your trading career. Yeah. It's that simple. No, you're done the second you think you have nothing left to learn in those markets. So Marvell, I did miss that curl. We were looking for a bit of a reversion play there. I know Apple's weak. Bearded Warrior trades, but you just never got to that 250. Palantir is doing this weird, I guess I should be getting the wick tops. I keep looking for a better price, and every time it gets up there, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get tighter to 75 on that move. And then look at it, it gets to 70 where I'm in, and boom, right back into 74. So at this point, it needs to break the bottom and fill the lows, or maybe I just do get a reload on the next available wick, just showing you guys what's happening there. Tesla still looks pretty decent for a long. I know I was in the long. I could have held that long against me $1.50, but it's still trending higher. So we had a flat trade in there. We had a flat trade in there, and then I didn't want to hold that long, thinking we were going to dip back further. But Tesla's actually holding very well up here. I feel like at this point, maybe I just take a 26 break or something on Tesla. It's starting to look a little bit relatively strong. And RC, oh, there we go. Roaring Kitty knows everything about the market. Good for Roaring Kitty.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Never forgive him for that live stream. It's like,
what? Oh, that live stream was so epic. I remember it happened during the midday. I remember that.
Were you trading GameStop during the
when he had like the arm thing? I don't know if I took any fills.
No, I know you didn't. Because anybody that was trading GameStop during that live stream is not happy with that live stream. It was my worst trading day that month. And only because I was hoping that it was going to do a squeeze. So I was leveraged to be like, if it squeezes, this is going to be the trade of the year. And it wasn't that bad, but it was still like the worst trading day I had that week. Actually that month. And it was whatever. All you had to do was be willing to go short when obviously it was setting up as a short. It bugs me that I was
a little bit of a sell the news event.
It was setting up as a sell the news event. It looked in real time like a sell the news event, but then the hopium of a squeeze takes you away from that. Yeah. It's so frustrating. Anyways, it is what it is. We live and we learn. We got to live and learn, like Joe Public said.
So this price compression here on AVGO is pretty intense here. We're kind of consolidating on top of that 219 here. Couldn't really get back to VWAP. We did we break that prior low here? So where is that prior low? Low sitting at 217.68. This current low 217.67. Oh boy. Is that a little bit of a double bottom at that 217.60s? I just noticed that, about a 1 penny hold on a ticker that's moving around erratically like this. I like that. That's a bit of confluence on my part. But then again, that could break, right? That could go either way as of right now, but I'm kind of being patient, just kind of waiting to see if there is any real continuation on this move. Current high a day sitting at 221.21. We saw the action off of the open. Buyers are definitely they're on top of VWAP. They're there through the pre-market highs. They're there on all the pullbacks as of right now. So nothing distinctly different in terms of buying. It did dissipate, but again, as I've learned this past year, sometimes buying can be a little bit more active, and sometimes it can become a little bit more passive, and then kind of just trying to figure that out based on what the price action and chart is showing me is something that I'm trying to build in terms of a skill over time. And yeah, I've been getting some decent reps throughout the year this year. So where is my Tesla chart? That's what I'm looking at right here. Tesla is continues. Tesla, look at that. Tesla actually found a bid on that 216. We were talking about, remember I was like, if we break through that 216, I probably want to get short below that 216.
28's that high.
Yeah, 28's that high. We're coming into that 28, so all-time highs on Tesla inbound as of right now. As the market takes a look at this recovery on the market, Neil. Look at the NASDAQ wick right back up. Oh boy, we have about, you got me with that one. I knew that would work. We got 2 minutes left for this 15-minute candle to print, Neil, and look at the bottom wick happening. So buying definitely coming in on this market. Will it sustain into the close of this 15-minute bar? I have no idea.
It's too easy, Obi.
But there comes Tesla as well. Oh boy. I'm not that good at multitasking, but that Tesla is definitely worth a little bit of a stab right here. We're coming back into 220s right now, but Tesla, that is an aggressive
There's
bid.
28.
Oh boy.
So
here we go.
That's
220s coming
that's
right
17.
back in. So prior day's highs, we're just shy of prior day's highs. What were prior day's highs, you may ask? 219. Sorry, it's 219. Nice. 429.30. And then all-time highs from what is this, Wednesday after hours, sitting at 429.90. So yeah, just underneath that 30 mark right there on Tesla. Aggressive bid coming in with the rest of the market. Look, the ES is wicking up as well too.
You got to be like Kramer right now.
What is that?
He's like go. It's like go. Like, that's what we're doing. Like Tesla, it needs that top. It just took out 28s. So we got back in, and when we took the 26 break, obviously. Got 02. That's a good fill. That's a really good fill. So we're trying to play into this high. Like yesterday's, I mean, whatever. Like this is top. You know, as I like to say, this is top on Tesla. If it breaks out here, I think we're headed to the 430 level. The real question becomes, I think I'm taking a breakout trade at 430. So that'll mean probably covering into this high and then taking a separate trade into 430. Like 430 is its own beast at this point. So I think if we revert this all the way back to 26, I want to be able to jump out. Palantir does not break the top. It just goes right back up, puts in another lower high. So once again, Palantir sort of fails to get through and break that 75 zone. What's Broadcom doing? Broadcom's still going higher, so that looks good. What else are you guys looking at here? Because obviously Obi's in Broadcom trading that. Tesla does not really make that next big press. Maybe we can get a reload off 24, 25, or 26. Then we got the short back into Palantir, which just wicked the top one more time. But if there's anything else you guys are looking at that we're not paying attention to, like SOUN, the sound hound is back. And it is, well, it's spectacular. As they say, the move is real. And the move is spectacular on SOUN. I'm just got all Seinfeld references today. If we break, $16 is a local high on SOUN. This is looking very good to get back into this. Nice consolidation and break. And you know what? Sometimes this stock is able to move without NVIDIA doing much of anything. NVIDIA back under VWAP and headed to the lows. You've got to be able to recognize NVIDIA is just not the one anymore. And we can go in this market without it. That said, market did a pullback. And noticing here, so same entry area on Palantir, but notice the lower high is a higher lows as well. So patience, be able to get it back to 75, but higher lows. The market's making higher lows on that curl. So if we hold this higher low, I'm not reloading a third time. We break 75, then I'm getting out of this trade, and then sort of able to move on to whatever is the next. At this point, we still have a couple of consecutive red candles on a 15-minute on the NASDAQ. I want to give it a chance to be able to go over here on Palantir, but right now it's still looking like a trend up kind of trade.
Yeah, the second 15-minute candle after that strong bid up, you can see the ES kind of pulling right back in as that candle went to a close. But yeah, the Nasdaq strong wick. Let's see, we have about 13 minutes left for this 15-minute candle to print, and let's see if that bid kind of continues coming into the second half hour of the day, or the second half of the second half hour of the day right now, as it is 10:16. And let's see, I'm curious to know what AVGO is going to do. Nice price compression. I'm kind of watching it. This again, as choppy and aggressive and as wild as AVGO is, this price action is absolutely beautiful. The way it's holding here, the way it's acting, the way it's dancing. Oh boy, definitely. I see Joe. Joe is just like Joe. You in this, bro? I just love it. Come on, yo, this tape, man. This tape. I'm learning lessons off of this tape. This tape is definitely worth a watch, even if you're not trading it. I think that this tape is speaking volumes in terms of.
Speaking of tape.
Yes, speaking of tape.
Okay, the tape didn't look. Well, I just jumped out. The tape at yesterday's high. Look, the play was. breaking out there into the all-time high on Tesla. You make a new all-time high, that's a separate trade. Which, by the way, it's not technically 430, and we should be more precise than that, and that's my bad. 429.30 is yesterday's top. It breaks that, it's making a fresh high. So if it breaks the $0.50, and if it breaks the 430 even, I think it's good to go. But now that you've gotten to that top, I want to play for a pullback. Like maybe we can pull back into 25s, and then that can be the next long. It's either give us a dip buy into the prior high, or break out the top on Tesla. Like, sort of hit it, be able to get in, take it from one level to the next, and then move on to that next. It could just be a breakout these same tops here on Tesla. Super strong, but it's not the only thing going. I mean, come on, like TSM, oh no, TSM is a New York stock, and I've already hit enter on the NASDAQ. But there's a lot moving. I was going to try to get, after that, I was going to get to MSTR, which is making a move. Bitcoin's at 101. I'm just going to show you on the black charts MSTR while I wait for that. MSTR has this potential, and I'm saying potential break looming. Higher lows into this dump zone here at 405. If this can hold over 405, it's got a $10 kind of gap in here that it can fill into yesterday's top. So keep an eye on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of going sideways at the 101 level, but there's a decent chance it's some continuation there for MSTR. Time will be able to tell whether that was a good out. On Tesla, right now it looks like it's pulling back in, so we might get a reload 25 or 26. That's how we just have to be patient. You got to be able to pick your spots. And we started looking short Tesla, got one win, one loss, and then we get that long 26 to 29. So maybe we'll get another one just like that if it pulls the dip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really looking at anything else, to be honest, guys. Like, that Intel's coming right back in, though. That Intel was nice. I was looking at that Intel.
Of course it is.
Neil, and it's kind of been doing similar things with similar prices over the past few days there. So definitely a missed one on my part. But again, I want to focus on what my main idea on the day was. Didn't really execute it as well as I wanted to, but again, we're in it for the move here.
In it to win it.
In it to maybe win it, but we'll see. I'm impartial about wanting to win it or not. I'm more focused on seeing the move build up, watching it work for me, and then seeing if that continuation really comes through as of right now. But speaking of large caps, let's see how the small caps are up to.
I'll tell you, they're not doing very well, that's for sure. We're down about 0.2% right now for that IWM, the Russell 2000. Selling off here right now, trying to hold on to that $233 level. It's not a great day for a lot of these small cap runners either. The few that we do have are definitely removed from day's highs, but I'll go over some of the ones on watch here, including WKEY. This is called WiseKey, and I think the catalyst for this one is actually particularly interesting. They announced here they're going to be doing the WiseSat satellite launch with SpaceX. That's going to be in January 14th, 2025. So any SpaceX-related catalyst, a good look for WKEY. That does actually have here about a 3.2 million share float, so pretty small float. Then we have Loop Industries, LOOP. This one up about 50%, but again, very removed from day's highs. Announced here they got some financing here from Societe Generale, so keep an eye there for LOOP. Last but not least, Archer Aviation, which is not technically a small cap. We have about a $3 billion market cap. But ACHR does have a almost 25% short float. We had Kathy Wood's ARK Invest adding roughly $36.5 million worth of the company's stocks to 3 of its ETFs. We also had a price target increase from Canaccord Genuity. And the company announced right after the open here, they're going to be offering 93.6 million shares of Class A common stocks. So keep an eye here for ACHR. Again, not a huge day for small caps, but we'll have to see how everything unfolds as the day continues. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Adara.
Wow, Broadcom just keeps on going.
Yeah,
So
it just made a fresh high while the market dumped. So.
Very quickly, Tesla did break yesterday's high, but kind of an instant failure. It doesn't get in there. We took the break, tight stop. It's a breakout trade at the highs. So it breaks yesterday's high. Okay, yes, it did go like 30 or 40 cents in the money, but the play there for me is like break that high and hold into 430. So let's see if I want to have a tight stop so I can take a couple of cracks at this one and not try to hold something infinitely against me. Why am I not getting filled Palantir on the bid? Where is it? Oh, I did it again. Palantir is not spelled that way. No, Palantir, it's coming in. Yeah, I'm just missing it there by a hair. So I just kind of moved to 74.11s there on PLTR. So just wanted to be able to respect. I was just showing you the black trail, like I wasn't getting the fill on Palantir. I have to wait for that to reload. I did just get it, but Tesla is now headed to that 430 level, but it's still very, very whippy action. Finish loading, and then there it is. We got the fill on Palantir. So basically just rinse and repeating the same trade on Palantir twice. That's what you got to be able to do. Like, it's not completely flushing, but the market's coming back in. And then if you remember the whole thesis of why we liked it short, well, this is what it did on Tuesday. Fail break at 75 and pull all the way back to 71. Yesterday, fail break at 75, pull back to 72. My thought was fail break at 75, at least get to 73. Even though it's making higher lows, if it breaks out here, I don't think I'll reload it a third time because we're getting higher lows. And then I'm going long on a break of 75.60 on PLTR. So I think able to win in both directions here on Palantir. I'm just starting with the short trade. Oh, NVIDIA just lost. NVIDIA's going to go red. NVIDIA just lost the bid again. It goes red in 15 cents. While Broadcom is breaking the high of the day. These are polar opposite stocks right now. Broadcom trend up, NVIDIA trend down. Is AMD. AMD's at the low of the day. It absolutely stinks. Intel is about to hold underneath the lows. It stinks as well. Yeah, it's a Broadcom market. Like, what else is actually strong here? You guys tell me. Like I know Broadcom is up 22%, but I'm looking at a bunch of things that look weak right now. And the market's still going to the downside. Mark just said in the chat, Adobe bounce soon. My guess is
fell off all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Look at the continuation.
The continuation play on.
Oh my God!
It's not the right time for Adobe yet. It's not the right time. I think it's like it didn't hold the support at 75. When we come to the daily chart, it didn't hold the support at 75, and you're just getting an earnings continuation. Look at the volume when it was at when it bounced off 454 here back in June. I think that's where you're headed next. So I think until proven otherwise, it's headed here. It's going to be short. It's an SSR continuation play. It was down over 10% today or yesterday. So it is short sell restricted, meaning the uptick rule is in effect. So if it gets down here underneath 460, I'd look for a mean revert. Under 460, I'd look for a mean revert play. But that just, when you're looking for that kind of a setup, it's got to break the trend. Look at the downtrend here on Adobe. I'm just going to draw it from VWAP, keep it simple, stupid. Talking to myself. So if it breaks the trend here, I think you look for a mean revert. Ideally, that would be at the 460 level. So Adobe, penalty box for me, at least until it retests that 450 on the daily.
Yeah. I think market is coming in quite aggressively. We've essentially failed to follow through the high right now, but I was talking to Neil about this a little earlier as well, about how sometimes a lot of these, some of the technical breaks are not as clean. Not as clean as we'd like to expect, and if we're kind of keeping risk tight around these technicals, more than likely to get a little bit washed there. So yeah, let's see if that's just a little bit of a wash, or are we actually pulling back in off of those highs there? That double top looking a little bit nasty as of right now, pulling right back into 219 halves. Oh boy. Let's see if we can sustain some of these prior consolidations here as of right now. But you know what, this thing is blasting to the upside, and it's holding its own while the market kind of aggressively sells back down. You can see that bid. We were talking about the prior 15-minute candle. This 15-minute candle only has 3 minutes left to print, and we broke down prior 15 on the NASDAQ as well. And look at the 15s on the ES as well, aggressively selling off. Triple 15 reds right here on the ES. So yeah, I can imagine what some of the other tickers are doing as of right now. But Broadcom holding its own quite well as of right now. Let's see if we can come back in, or do we retest some of those highs? That was that break again. What was that high prior? That high was 221.21. We go up to 221.64s and take a little bit of a pullback here. Again, market tailwind, maybe bringing that in a little bit right here. Let's see if and when the market bounces. We're coming into 21,800 here on the NASDAQ. that could potentially be a place to watch for something. But then again,
NVIDIA, bye-bye.
What are some of the other trades is what I'm asking at the same time as well. Van Eck is about to break its, is that opening range low right here on the Van Eck? Yeah, it is. Okay, so the SMH, Van Eck Semiconductor ETF. I know Van Eck has many other ETFs, but usually when I say Van Eck, I probably just mean the semiconductor ETF, as that's the main one that I tend to watch. But yeah, chips straight to the downside as of right now. Micron as well.
NVIDIA is bleeding.
A bit of a pullback, and NVIDIA is about to hit that prior day low as of right now. So the question becomes, Neil, where a lot of these chips are selling off and AVGO is bidding up. A little interesting, no?
Well, I mean, Broadcom has been outperforming the chips for a while now. Of course, the timing. Like the second I need to talk, like I get that frog in my throat. So first thing, I'm going to go to the position that I just grabbed. You finally did a reversion on Marvell and then a lower high off 121. So while that happened, you had a trend reverse on Broadcom, which was my condition for getting in. So I'm in at the $0.50, and if it presses through this lower high at 121, I'm out. So risk about $0.50, just a little bit slightly more, and play some into VWAP, and then for a pull back lower. But it's NVIDIA. It's NVIDIA, which is absolutely bleeding. Didn't get to 140. Good luck.
Tesla just wicked 430.
Yeah, Tesla wicked the 430 level. I think it was the right decision to get out of the Tesla long. At least for now, that's looking like it was wise. NVIDIA bleeds. AMD, new lows of the day. It's bleeding as well. Palantir is close to the low. This frog in my throat is killing me. Palantir close to the lows as well. We're holding on to that one short side. It's a bit of a flush. We're right back to where we started on the NASDAQ over.
Yeah, a bit of a flat action here coming in as of right now on the NASDAQ. So we did have that strong pull up right here. We're starting to slow down here on AVGO a little bit right here, but yeah, there goes Intel through the day low as well. Oh my God. And that's some aggressive selling coming in on the markets as well. So
that stock is such a short.
Sorry, which one?
Intel's just such a short.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like for the past few weeks, or even, I mean, how far can you go back? Since we've been doing a little bit of a backside, sell-off, at Intel, you can just be looking for places to sell, and if and when that kind of turn comes in, it has been nice more often than not on Intel, it would seem, but that's a little bit of a retrospect. Again, I've been periodically getting involved with it, getting comfortable with it, but again, I had to be a little bit more urgent. That sense of urgency when certain trades work, I do have to build that skill as well. I know I'm a little bit lackluster when it comes to that skill, but it's a skill that I'm trying to put in more reps on and build as well. So here comes Broadcom back into that 220. Are we going to hold or are we going to drop? I have no idea. But while these chips are looking for a potential bounce, and as Tesla looks for that 430 once again, let's see what's going on in the crypto world.
We're to talk here about Bitcoin, of course, having a nice coil to the upside. We're holding support pretty nicely at that 96.5 level. Now we're making some higher lows, but look at this top here on a closing basis. That 101.5 area definitely seems to be top on the daily chart, but we're up on the day. So if we can push past that level, that could be a really good look here for BTC. Some news in the BTC space. We know one ongoing catalyst that we've had on watch for a while, but I think especially it's been heightened since the election of Donald Trump back on November 5th. We've had a lot of, I guess, things on watch here with regards to what's going to happen with crypto on a legislative basis and with regards to a potential treasury. So we actually had legislation being introduced in Texas yesterday to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which would enable the state to start building this reserve by accepting taxes, fees, and donations via Bitcoin. So that's going to be an interesting look. The Republican state representative here that vied for this was basically saying that because inflation can impact investments, a strategic Bitcoin reserve would actually be a, quote, win-win for the state. So we'll have to keep an eye on that story. But either way, interesting to know that we still have a lot of Bitcoin legislation on watch. Now, in terms of crypto here, other crypto names, BTC, as mentioned, holding around that 101.5 level. Ethereum just below 4,000. XRP slightly up on the day here. BNB slightly up on the day. But it's a bit of a mixed day for crypto. We'll find usually there will be a lot of these days where we have things sharply upside, sharply downside. Right now, Bitcoin trying to take a little bit of a breath before the weekend. Make sure to like and subscribe. And back to you guys.
Thank you very much.
Ooh, I like it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. And we always talk about being patient in trades. And this is one. I'm now out of Palantir. The market just bounced off theoretical. The NASDAQ just bounced off a trend line, and Palantir just broke the trend line down. So I'm now out of it. But the plan of action was a failed break at 75. We got the failed break at 75, but it's stronger. First time it did this, the 71. Second time it did this, the 72. This time, it's got buyers in front of 73. So I'm just going to, I have to respect it and follow my rules. So it breaks trend this late in the day. I don't have to go long, but for me, that's an out when you break a trend. When you break a downtrend like that, I'm looking for that place as a little bit of an exit spot for me. So we do take that one out. A win's a win, and to each their own. Like there was someone say like, yeah, just hold on to it. No, but you have to follow your plan. Marvell, this was a little bit different. I'm going to walk you through why I like the Marvell short. I never got BROADCOM long. BROADCOM broke trend, then made a new trend, tested the high of the day, broke that trend again. When it did this, Marvell was going sideways and couldn't retest the highs. So sympathy name, BROADCOM retests the high, Marvell had broken trend and couldn't make a new high, so I shorted it looking for the playback into VWAP, which it's actually holding quite well. So as that's happening, we get another bid out in front of VWAP. So played it at the 120.5, back into the 119. I'll get another out in front of VWAP, then play for the low of the day. So just patience with the trades. This was the kind of day where if you were looking for mean reversion trades or you were like looking for short the pops, you couldn't just sit out there in the ether. You had to let them set up. Unfortunately, I will slap the fail on myself for not at any point being short advanced micro devices, or as Sharif likes to say it, advanced money destroyer. Yeah. Which, if you haven't been watching this, and we put this out a couple of weeks ago, this channel on AMD is the gift that keeps on giving. Now, I'm loosely drawing it. You can draw it a lot cleaner than I have, but the premise is still the same. When AMD tests the top of the channel, unless it, here's a consolidation. Did it break out this consolidation? No, it broke back down. Short to the bottom. I should say favor shorts till the bottom. We're day traders here. So favor the short till it gets to the bottom of the channel or retest the August support levels. That's exactly what's playing out here. So that's the reason we're short biased on AMD. That said, it's a fail not being in it today, but Marvell's now working buck half in the money. We already took Palantir, and Palantir's out. You know, it ends up being right in the moment, but like it could get to VWAP and maybe it goes to 75 again. It could retest the lows and I never get back in at VWAP. Lots of things can play out, but when it broke that sharp downtrend, that's where my trail was in. It was either getting to the low or it was going to break that trend up, and I looked for a VWAP re-entry point on that name. So NVIDIA is trying. Tesla, I just saw in the chat there, Rambud said Tesla's a short now. I mean, I was just about to say Tesla's looking. Like now there's a buyer above the 430, which I should also point out is at an all-time high. Tesla all-time highs again. Are we shocked?
Not really.
Not really. It's Tesla. It's Tesla, baby. Just saying.
Yeah, so we did come back down a little aggressively there, trading at 218s now on AVGO. So yeah, it seems like that buying is starting to do a little bit of a dissipate right there. What is that low right now? As of right now, 217.70 right here, 217.70 on that low. So don't forget that prior double bottom-ish area was at 217.68 and 217.67. And currently this prior bar just now on this 3-minute chart bouncing off of another few pennies off of that level there. Let's see if we do a little bit of a lick grab. If we break down, I think that's probably something as well, as we've attempted to we failed to follow through at the highs, and we've been holding a little bit of the support from earlier as well. So yeah, I'm kind of just holding this as of right now. Just I got my stop in, I think, at a decent place, but more than willing to kind of get back into the trade there if it's going to have me, and more than willing to flip the other way as well if it's going to start to show us something like signs of a turn as of right now. So let's see what happens with that one there. But yeah, a lot of these other tickers aggressively to the downside, and AVGO definitely part of the reason why we might have been running up pretty crazily off of the open. Tesla though holding holding, sustaining quite well as of right now. A nice strong trend on Tesla off of that 416, man. That was the place to be. I was like, that 416 was definitely a little bit of an over-under for me, and that came through really, really well. There's some aggressive selling back down through into 17s here on AVGO. So, oh boy, coming right back into roughly break even for me. But you know what? Like I said, it is what it is. More than willing to move on to the next trade if this one, if I have to get out of this one eventually. But
that's sound for the bid. That's sound advice, Obi. Be willing to get into the next trade.
Look at that
SOUN. I'm not counting how many green candles on a 3-minute chart are in a row. If you squint hard enough, that's actually a red candle at 15, and there's another one at 15.40. But if the red looks like that and the green looks like this, I'm not a chartered market technician. I'm just a trader. That's an uptrend. So it is what it is. You're at the top on SOUN. So this is it on that 15-minute. It was just a wick high a couple of days ago, earlier this week, and it was at 1607. It's literally topped at 1607 as we speak. So for those that are like SOUN is broken the top, I get it. It broke $16, but it didn't actually break the big one, which will be at 1607, and maybe like 1610 if you're into rounding up. Which my daughter is. That's one of the things they just recently learned in school was the concept of rounding, which she was taking obviously way too far. It's like rounding everything.
Like what? What do you mean? It's like just rounding everything up?
Well, like basically she'd be like, oh, so if this thing Sound just broke that high from earlier this week. I waited for it to get to 10s, so we're holding the break. I'm giving it to the prior bar open, like this consolidation level at 1580. On the $16 stock, that's a tight stop. But we're talking about all time. We're talking about fresh highs here, where you're chasing a bit of a move. So it'll be a scalp trade when it's 1-to-1 at 20 cents. Then I want to make sure I'm offering at least something at those levels, and then see if we can play for the next dollar up. No, basically, she was taking prices that she would see in like a store, and then just be like, okay, so I want this gift, like whatever it was. Let's say it was like $87. And then she'd be like, okay, well, you need to give me $100 so I can buy it. And I'm like, I know tax is fine, but okay, fine. Ramin's just saying it makes sense because of tax. No, but like if something came to $75, then her logic was that if I was gonna get it for her, then I should give her $100 because she's like, Daddy, if you round up, then it's $100, so therefore give me $100, and then I can buy that thing. I'm like,
sounds.
I'm like, no, sweetheart.
That sounds like that's some very sound math there. But
I know what she's trying to do.
Technically, that's still a roundup.
I know what she's trying to do. It's just, homie, don't play that. I'll spoil her, but principle is priceless. Adara, what's up?
Not a lot of names on the sector board are to the upside. Oh. Sorry about that, guys. We don't have a lot of names to the upside on this sector board, and I think the reason this sector board is so fascinating today is because we have a really big discrepancy between the performance in the S&P 500, which is barely positive on the day, and what we're seeing in the NASDAQ, which is sharply to the upside. Not even a lot of NASDAQ names making sharp moves to the upside here. We have BROADCOM, of course, up 20%, likely propelling the group here. They've passed that $1 trillion market cap point on their earnings report. We also have some strength in a lot of those sympathy plays for BROADCOM, including ANET and this Micron move. Finance is a couple names to the upside as well. We know that there have been some reports that, especially coming out just now, that the Donald Trump administration is going to really focus on deregulating banking, or at least having less regulations in the space. So keep an eye on that finance space. And Tesla, of course, still strong. They're bringing up the consumer durable sector. Another sector that's actually pretty strong is health services. We know these names experienced a pretty sharp sell-off, motivated by the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last week. Looks like some of these names are recovering from that negative sentiment in the space, trying to make a bit of a bounce today. But in terms of weakness, I mean, lots to talk about. Energy and minerals to the downside, consumer services to the downside, health technology, we have process industries, and we also have a lot of the technology services sector. There are a couple bright spots here. CRM slightly flat on the day here with an upgrade earlier today, and Palantir also vaguely green, as is CrowdStrike, but generally a lot of weakness in technology services. So it's interesting, there aren't that many names that are really propelling that NASDAQ move, guys. Back to you.
Thank you.
They're not. So I could go over and I could show you, hey, we got our fill for the, we got our fill at VWAP on Marvell, and Marvell's $2 in the money and all that good stuff. But then I looked over and realized, hey, that trade that we just took on SOUN, look at the uptrend. Usually into an all-time high, I'm getting out when this prior bar closes like this. Now my stop is already at 80, so if it drops 2 more cents, I am getting out. But I don't think I paid for locates on this thing, which means I can't actually take the mean reversion trade into VWAP. We look for the breakout trade. It did play into the quarter, or at least into the 20. I literally got 20% out, so this is an L. But I can't take the mean reversion trade because I didn't pay for locates. I don't know if I can get them fast enough for it to make sense. But I always try to show you that one first, and I can get back over to Marvell. Like, when something's going exactly to plan, it's like, you know, like whatever. It's the thing that you should be concerned about is the one that isn't. So we just got back into VWAP at 19s. The next work level, and you have a reason to get into a trade, have a reason to get out. Strong stock, mean reversion trade. The trend line that broke came from here. Right at the open, the first line of support on a closing basis was 117. So that's, once it gets to that price, any trend reversion off of that price gets me out of the trade. So it got me in, then that's what's going to get me out. Otherwise, I hold on to it. I mean, you have Broadcom back to VWAP. You've got NVIDIA bleeding like, oh, I mean, it's just bleeding. It's red. You're down at 135. I probably could have held on to Palantir, but Marvell, I think, has a little bit more juice left to squeeze. AMD is absolutely tanking now, down 3.5%. AMD, it stinks. I don't even want to look at Intel at this point. It's probably, like everything else, headed to the downside. The market is distinctly, but you know what? The shorts have been there. There's been, look, Tesla managed to be a good long, but the shorts have been there. Palantir worked. Any chip name that's not, let's be honest, that isn't Broadcom, and then even a strong one like Marvell, you can find some winning trades there. But advanced money destroyer just continues to bleed lower and lower and lower. Yeah, that channel bottom, by the way, I'm not saying we get there today, but at this point, we're getting to the bottom of this channel before Christmas on AMD. And it's literally lining up with the August panic low. I mean, come on. That's about as much confluence as you could ever hope for.
Yeah, definitely some decent confluence there. Oh boy, this market, man, this is absolutely wild. The market tanking off of that. So yeah, that little bit, I was like, oh boy, that bid up on that, what is it, second 15, third 15 minute. I was like, all right, is the bid here yet? Nope, not yet, as we crushed those day lows right here on the NASDAQ. And then now maybe are we bouncing off of 21,750? I have no idea as of right now, but a little bit of a VWAP hold here on AVGO. Tesla, that Tesla flushed off of a false break, like the first false break of that, not really a false break, first back through of that 430 didn't really work. We got back above, we went to about 31 and some change, and then we're pulling back into 427 right now. VWAP sitting in and around 424, 70s I have here on this chart. I'm sure it's a slightly different on other charts, but that roughly that area, right, is what I'm looking at right now. But let's see if the market catches a bit of a bounce, or is AVGO done for the day? Are we just going to continue to the downside as of right now? I have no idea, but like I said before, buyers were aggressive at VWAP off of the open, and we're there once again here. Right now I have VWAP sitting at 216.60s. We're trading 217.30s right now. But yeah, no, I know I'm only focused on AVGO right now, as it is my number one. It was my number one idea on the day. But I know I had a few other ideas, so I'm going to take a quick look at those. Again, RH was another one that was pushing its 52-week highs there. That one failing off of the open. Oh boy, look at that NVIDIA, man. NVIDIA broke prior day's low. That's crazy on this flush right here.
Are you kidding me?
Tesla again, maybe wicking 431.60 is the high on Tesla right now. And that play, we were looking for that continuation on play, and no real continuation as of right now on Dave & Buster's, as it's kind of reverting some of that selling. But that day one, day two of earnings was crazy there on play. Again, Neil, if you hadn't pointed that one out for me, I probably wouldn't even have known or looked at it it would have definitely missed my radar. And at the end of the day, while I was doing my reviews, I looked at it again. I was like, yeah, this was definitely a missed opportunity for continuation. And that's something I'm trying to build on an intraday frame as well. It's just like, okay, how do I get involved with the continuation move? Again, for as long as I can remember, I've been trying to get better with that continuation, staying with the trend trade. And again, it's been a long time coming, but I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with
the change is going to come.
Continuations.
The change is going to come.
The change is going to come. Is that a reference to something? Sorry.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming.
The change is going to come. No, it's fine. I can't get past.
I'm blanking right now.
It's fair. You know what? I get on. It is what it is. If you don't get the reference, nobody gets the reference. Somebody gets it from legendary artist Sam Cooke.
Okay.
I can't smile right now. I'm chuckling. Actually, sometimes you've got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Of course.
You know, if you
can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, you can't take yourself too seriously. But this is not going to age. It already doesn't age well, and it's certainly not going to. It's not going to get better with time. Yeah, so I dipped out, and ultimately, okay, yes, that is a short setup usually for me, which I didn't take. But I often say if I'm in a position long and that's a 9 out of 10 short entry for me, and I think it's a strong stock, I'll at least get out of the position and move on. Well, it's not exactly bottom wick. Somebody sold 4 cents lower than I did. So as far as I'm concerned, whomever that was is the loser. And me, I'm just like second loser on that stock. But unfortunately, Sound is now continuing to run. The trend line doesn't really matter at this point anymore. I think what I'd be more fixated on here is the prior high at 1610. There's the daily chart on SOUN. It's that prior high where we had the initial breakout, which we could have given more room, but I told you the reason I got out. So I think looking for it to hold on to that prior high is going to be the jam at this point. And Sebastian, we have not looked at Uber today. And before we go over to Money Talks very quickly, I just wanted to point out, I know Uber, actually, let's talk about Uber when we get back from Money Talks. We'll have to wait for this chart to reload. We will talk about Uber in a second. We have to go to Adair for Money Talks.
Really quick catalyst here before we get to Money Talks as well. Not sure if this is going to move any stocks, but I guess you could keep an eye on Tesla here because the SEC, I'm seeing reports here, the SEC has extended the timeline for Elon Musk, who is, of course, the CEO of Tesla there and also the owner of the X, to respond to the settlement offer in the Twitter or X probe until Monday. And if Musk does not respond to the SEC, they'll have to proceed to a well submission, and there might be a new settlement discussion. So keep an eye here on some of these Elon Musk-related names as the SEC apparently extends its timeline for Elon Musk's response with regards to that Twitter probe from that sale a few years back. Let's take a look here at the DXY, which is making quite a double bottom here on the daily chart, or in that 105.70 level. We cleared previous resistance here on that 106.45, I guess, and making a higher high. Now the next frontier for us to pass would have to be that 107.45 level. It's worth noting here, we're on track for our 6th straight green candle here for the DXY. We had a few pieces of economic data this morning. Slightly stronger than expected import and export data. It's worth noting, as of right now, 96.9% of participants here, according to the CME FedWatch tool, are expecting that rate cut to come through, the 25 basis point rate cut to come through at the next Fed meeting, which is going to be December 18th. So we have under a week now to see what Fed Chair Jerome Powell will be saying at 2:30 p.m. during the press conference. Of course, we get the decision about half an hour before that. So that's going to be the main Fed thing on watch here. Next week, we do have some economic data, retail sales data coming through on Tuesday, some S&P PMI data coming through on Monday, some housing data on Wednesday ahead of the big announcement. Back to you guys.
So I promised Sebastian that we would look at Uber. And Uber is still, penalty box, let's just call it, it's testing the lows. But at the same time, I don't want to call it out completely because the market's testing low. So at this point, the NASDAQ might be green, the ES is red, but its chart just looks like the NASDAQ. So you haven't made a fresh bottom on the daily yet. And I've said this last week, the August low wick, this is where I'm sort of convinced we're headed to on Uber. This support was at 57.58. And then you go back into that panic August day, that's where the buying came in, then accelerated after that. So I'm looking for this to lose $60 and then the buy zone comes somewhere in the mid to high 50s on Uber. And it's showing you exactly that setup. Rejection of the bounce, green candle with a rejection high yesterday, ends up closing at the low. Then you have another gap up, which rejects the lower high and is trying to close back at the low. I think, to me, all signs are pointing to it at least minimum testing 60, if not breaking it. And then I think the buy is in the mid to high 50s where it happened before. I like those August lows. I feel as if anyone's willing to panic when that day it felt like the worst was happening in the market, when those buys came in, there's a lot of people anchored to that price area, and just most stocks aren't getting back there. So the fact that you have Uber testing it potentially next week, maybe today, you have AMD testing it potentially next week, outside chance. Same thing on AMD. No, I hit enter so fast. I just type in AMD, and it's not a New York stock. So I was just looking at a New York stock. Apologies there. Here's what I'll do. I'll just pull it up on like a black chart or something to show you what AMD is doing, because suffice to say, this is a very, very steep trend down. Like, it dumps at the open. I was looking pop and fade off of pre-market highs. It just literally dropped, lost all the bid, came back in, wicked 130. You're headed to $125 at this point. The short that I have on is in Marvell, as that continues to go, now 2.5 in the money. And Marvell was a strong stock, don't get me wrong. But it did the mean reversion, it held the lower high, and then the key here was it was sympathy to Broadcom. When it held and tested this lower high, Broadcom was testing the actual top. So following Broadcom, breaks trend, Broadcom goes back to the high. This does not get to a higher, get back into the top, so it's got a little bit of weakness in it. I can short it. I shorted at the 40s with a stop literally just, it's like 120.90 was its local high, 121 stop. So you're risking like 60 pennies, and now you're getting the pullback, ideally into this 117 on, I almost said Broadcom, on Marvell. So the market's attempting to bounce. We'll see if it does. And I just saw the others. These dip buys of NVIDIA never fail. In the long term, I agree. Today, you got to pick your spot. Yeah. It matters where you dip buy the stock. Seems like we're probably headed, like 135 was our lowest close of the week. So that's where we're headed now. And then the bottom underneath that on NVIDIA was like 134.40-ish. I think that's kind of where you'd look for a mean reversion at this time of day, but let the market, if you're short, let it breathe. Let him cook. Right now, the shorts are cooking.
Yeah, the shorts are definitely cooking there. That pullback off of that 430 on Tesla is working beautifully as of right now. We're coming right into a VWAP right now, 425.80s testing, and the NASDAQ also kind of near its lows right here. 21,736 we're trading at as of right now here, and just holding on 6,050 here on the ES. So yeah, a little bit of a puke action right here off of that strong bid. Again, we might be rejecting that 21,900. Yeah, so maybe is that equivalent to a 22 test? Yeah, maybe. I have no idea, but let's see where this market can come in and take us. Oh, there's a little bit of a stacked offer there, 216.70s here on AVGO. So maybe now we do a little bit of breakdown. I have no idea, but let's see if we hold any sort of level here in and around this VWAP as of right now. But I think, yeah, the biggest kind of push in the trade was in the morning session right now. But right now we have breaking news with Adara. What's up?
We have Eli Lilly here. Initially, we had a positive catalyst on this name earlier, LLY, with regards to the fact that one of its, I guess, Crohn's disease drugs is potentially up for approval in Europe. Now we have here, you see a little bit of volume spike to the downside. So apparently there was an Ozempic study here that found a small number of patients with vision loss. So apparently some risk of potential vision loss here with Ozempic, which, by the way, worth noting, Ozempic is actually not Eli Lilly's weight loss drug. That would be Novo Nordisk's. But keep an eye regardless on LLY and NVO with that news. Let's pull up NVO here. It's also a name on the NYSE. Yeah, Novo Nordisk selling off quite a bit more significantly on that catalyst because, again, Ozempic's actually its drug, but keep an eye on these weight loss drug makers with regards to the study that found small amount of patients experiencing vision loss after taking them. Back to you guys.
Oh, that's no good.
I'm not a doctor. As a matter of fact, I was more of a numbers math guy in high school. So when biology class, let's just say I always made sure I had the best lab partners in biology.
Yeah.
And my two go-to lab partners, both of those dudes are, like, I knew both those dudes. One guy is like a killer surgeon.
Sick.
The other dude is a lawyer, lives up in a doctor lives up in Rosedale.
Nice.
Chilling. I knew at the time, man. You just sort of know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, I'm not one of those. But that's not good. I mean, losing sight is not good. And the problem with Eli Lilly and Novo is they've made such a big run, and then now they're on the back end of this crazy GLP run that they're on, is look at what's happening. This is, like, this was an unbelievable stock. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's one of the best performing names I have in the last 2 years in my personal. And it's underneath the 50 period, holding underneath the 50 period, double rejecting the 200 period, and now it's working into a downtrend. Like, this is now a somewhat downward trending stock in a more short-term look on Eli Lilly. Yes, it's got great support. We pointed this out, that it had the great support at this 700 to 720 level. And it bounced there. But it lost to 50 in the 200, and it's about to make the death cross, as some like to point out. The 50 period's about to cross the 200 period SMA on that daily. Market is continuing to, the market is now officially tanking. NVIDIA, I just keep typing
AVGO with an aggressive
New York.
pullback.
NVIDIA just lost 135. Marvell's now down at the 117, so we're 3 in the money on Marvell. I said once it got to 117, I put a new trailing stop on that bad boy. But we started with a lot of strength in this market. One of the first signs that we were going to lose it was NVIDIA and AMD not following with these stronger chip names. 3, 2, 1, and now I can hit enter again. So Marvell getting to that 17. It's now got a new trend line since VWAP. If it can manage to close above that, I will exit that short for the win. Bearded Warrior trades. You're right. DXYZ for a SpaceX launch. I'd be careful with a stock like this on a day where risk is coming off. On a Friday where you're getting a lot of higher risk names and growth names pulling back, I'd be careful with DXYZ. It's not a very bullish looking chart. That said, it is worth watching. It has been on a huge run. This is more of a squeeze momentum type play for me than anything fundamental. Yes, you get exposure to SpaceX, but let's be real. If you can properly evaluate this, then you're smarter than me. I can't believe it's already 11 o'clock. I'll let you.
Yeah, no. I think, definitely. It's 11 o'clock now. Market is dumping to the downside. 21.7s we're trading below, and we're trading below 6,500 as well. You can see AVGO kind of following in step here. We attempted to hold that VWAP. There's a nice reserve on top of that 216, pretty clean as well. That got broken down as well. I got stopped out on that one there. That's perfectly fine. I'm looking for the next trade as of right now. But that reversion did come in quite nicely. I didn't necessarily respect it as well as I could have. But again, next trade, let's see if the bid kind of picks up there. Low a day on this ticker off of the open is sitting at 211.11s. The anchored right now is sitting at 212.60s. So see what we have in store with the Learn to Trade session, and we'll see what AVGO is going to be doing when we come back at 2 o'clock.
We have a special treat. It is actually, Sharif is off on vacation. We wish him all the best. You've got Joseph and Satya going to be a dynamic duo on this Friday. Maybe it's a Friday the 13th while we're headed down. We'll be back at 2 o'clock, but don't go anywhere. We've got the midday madness coming through. Satya and Joseph. Kill.
See you guys.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Joey O and